everybody, it is I, Trooper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole, and I don't know if I cannot see your chat at the moment, but I'm going to see if I can find it, because I've got my iPad right down here, and hopefully it will, it will bring me to you. Let me see. I'm looking for maybe me, then maybe feed. I feel like this might do it, but I also don't want any sound. Ah! Romper Room! Okay, so first off, Krellin, I appreciate the Romper Room reference. That's amazing. And hi everybody. How are you all? So I want you to know that I have my iPad right down here so that I can see you, and we are doing the experiment of trying to have my chat down here so that I can have a bigger visual frame. That's what do we have? This is the 8. Okay, all right. Hey, battle buddies. I've got a bigger peephole. Also, that sounds a little dirty, right? I've got a bigger peephole. Hey, everybody. So this is me, Trooper SJP. This is the Academic Foxhole. We are trying up a new setup with a bigger peephole. I feel like it should be a little. Hold on. Come here. Hold on a second. Let's. Yeah, I feel like I'm a little bit better centered right now. Hey everyone. So a little bit of adjustment. If you wearing my MFEC shirt in honor of the now departed corporate sins, makes me a little sad. Does the iPad mean we no longer have to truncate our thoughts so they fit into that teeny tiny space the PS4 allows, so we can be as thoroughly verbose as we wish without having to edit ourselves? Yes. That is exactly what it means. That's exactly what it means. It also means that I've got to sort of look back and forth. What if I put you here? I'm just trying out. What if I put you over here on the side, and then I can read you there? I remember the Inquisition, and then I need a really excellent sort of flashback montage. That would be really excellent. Oh, I think I have new learns that I want to add to our learned. Oh, PH, you've got 40 minutes left. When you're done watching the VOD, come onto the Discord and then tell us what you think. Share with us your thoughts. Because, it's part of the, that's part of the thing. So I want you to come and share all of your thoughts with us about what you think about the beginner's guide. I'm so excited to hear your thoughts, PH. Like a very... Oh, I've got a bigger peephole. Well, that was a... Yeah, PH is correct. That is a good one. I've got a bigger peephole. I should... You know what I need to do? Oh, do you really? You identify a lot with the narrator. Interesting. I want to hear all of your thoughts. Hold on. I want to make sure that I've got a bigger peephole on our list of quotes so that we can have this in here. Hold on, where are we? Ancient Romans. Okay. Boom, boom. I've got a bigger peephole. Me, 2017. Done. So, that's right, that's our excitement. What else do we have? I know, I really want PH's impression as well. I really want PH's impression. I'll go finish watching your playthrough, and then I'll be back. Oh, good. Go finish watching the playthrough, and then come back. I'm excited to hear. I'm excited. That was such a good game, everyone. I really enjoyed the beginner's guide. I understand why it got so many plaudits and loves. The NAT. NAT. I don't know what NAT stands for. Neuroatypical? Is that what it stands for? But it might stand for something else besides neuroatypical. Hey, Baron Tor, how are you doing? It is good to see you. Also, I'm just going to tell you something, just so you know. It's a little bit weird because the camera looks like a person's face. So it looks like I'm looking into a strange person's face when I'm talking to you all, and that's just a little bit weird, but it's fine. I was right, neuroatypical. Uh, Maybe, yeah. I mean, I suppose that there are neuroatypical people who have those qualities, but I suppose there are also people who are not neuroatypical who also have those qualities. Um, you stayed up way too late. Um, yeah, I mean, there's some people who, I don't know. I mean, I will just say this. I know lots of neuroatypical people who don't do those things. Is what I would say. Let's gather herbs. And this was this is actually really interesting. There was a whole conversation that I was nice. That I was part of. Let's get more Fallowmire resources.
Inquisitor.
So I was having an interesting conversation. It was part of it was an online discussion.
Let's see what we have.
About being creepy, right? Sort of not respecting people's boundaries, and
A captain sent back sketches of the walls. Our experts say they look elven.
Interesting.
oh,
Does
So-
Corypheus send scholars to find something the elves buried? Or something buried with them?
Oh, I wonder if what kind of voiceover we get is triggered by the location we're hovering over, because that seemed like an Exalted Plains conversation. Oh, look, I'm getting drone accessories. That's exciting. We'll do a little bit more of that. Anyway, the conversation
At your service.
was about people creeping on other people, and this was in the context of sort of like creepers and sort of dudes creeping on women. And we're going to the Exalted Plains, by the way, because that's where we're headed. Anyway, maybe I don't know, maybe I like you here, my comments. Anyway, the conversation it was about neuroatypical, well, it was about dudes creeping on women, right? Getting in their personal space, not taking no for an answer, being invasive, them saying, no, I don't like this, and them not listening, right, and sort of being a creeper. And what's interesting to me was that there were some people in this conversation who were trying to defend that behavior of not respecting boundaries and upsetting people by saying, oh, well, but that's just a neuroatypical thing. Neuroatypical people that's what they do, is they make people feel really uncomfortable and they creep them out all the time, so you can't call anybody out for doing that. And then a number of neuroatypical people were like, hold on a second, that is not true. Like, I'm neuroatypical, and I'm really good when people tell me no. And actually, to sort of equate creeping people out with neuroatypicity is actually really insulting to neuroatypical people. And I thought that was a really interesting argument, right? That to sort of just frame sort of ill behavior as being neuroatypical sort of ignores the fact that a lot of neuroatypical people don't do that, and there are a lot of neurotypical people who do that. Women can be, and of course women can certainly be creepy too. I have a friend that insists on hugs even though I'm uncomfortable with the hugs, and I've told her so many times, oh yeah, women can certainly be creepy as well. It certainly happens. But right, the point of that conversation really is that it isn't actually fair to blame, to sort of say that creepy behavior is just a product of being neuroatypical, because lots of neuroatypical people don't do creepy things, and a lot of neurotypical people do creepy things. So, I mean, I think that was the larger point of the conversation, that it's actually not progressive to sort of equate creepy behavior with neuroatypicity. Neuroatypicalness? Neural atypicalness. Right? I mean, there we go. And I thought that was an interesting point, that Yeah. And Krellin, certainly, there are a lot of women who can be creepy. People in general can be creepy and not respect other people's boundaries. And I think of course, one of the tricky things about women not respecting men's boundaries is that it's often not visible. It's not as visible because of the ways in which people don't think that men have boundaries. When it comes to physicalness, right? That people sort of assume that men are always happy to be touched, or that it's totally fine. Do you know what I mean? Like there's this sort of, and this is not true at all, but there's a particular way in which I need more blood lotus. If I get more blood lotus, then I can increase the duration of my bees, and then we will be so great. I'm excited for when this happens, but we are not yet there. We are almost there. Yeah, but that is a particular problem that people assume, right? Part of sort of the stereotypes of masculinity and femininity is that men are always happy to be touched and, like, groped upon because men are never bothered by that, which is just not true. And so that, ooh, I've got more blood lotus. I might be able to do it. It's full of bees. I certainly didn't mean to say that only gnats were creepy. Yeah. There were, however, specific signs in the narrative that either showed gnat-type behavior or at least personality disorder. Oh, yeah. I agree. I agree. Although wording it that way, yes. Well, and of course my point was a little bit less about your comment than about the sort of the larger trend of framing bad behavior as being neuroatypical. And I feel uncomfortable with that because there are a lot of neurotypical people who are just super creepy. Do you know what I mean? Who do creepy, horrible things. And I think that there's and I just sort of worry about the ways in which something that might seem like a positive thing can just further stigmatize neuroatypical people. And that's just a thing. I'm just like a little bit like, oh, let's note that neurotypical people can be super creepy. That's all. Yeah, and so that's just like, can I do it now? Do I have enough? I don't. I need 6 more blood lotuses, and then we're going to have all of the bees in the world, everyone. All of the bees. So let's go to the Exalted Plains. That is where we're heading out. Exalted Plains. Ooh. So yeah, anyway, I was thinking just a little bit more broadly. Not specifically only about your comment, Jer. But because I don't think that you were necessarily doing that, I just think it is a thing that is often done. So let's head. There's a lot of little things for us to pick up along the way, but I think we should start here because that's where we left off, and sort of try to push this way. That's where I think we should go. Let's travel. I wonder if it normally takes us. It seems like this is just a thought, an observation. It seems as if it normally takes us around 3 sessions to go through a zone. About like it, between 3 and 4 sessions to go through a zone. It'll probably take us. Like I think we've got a little bit more time on this zone. Like I don't know if we can finish it today, but I feel like we're getting there because we did the Temple of Dirt Ha Men last time. So I'm also learning that I think if there's a new message that shows up, that a little indicator shows up on the screen for me, so then I can look down. Oh, right, it just happened. Would the creepers be aware of being creepy? Ice Bunny, it's a good question. In my experience, the difference between a real creeper and somebody who's awkward is that awkward people, when you let them know that what they're doing is sort of making you feel uncomfortable, then they stop doing it, or they apologize and they stop doing it. But real creepers don't. Like the woman that Krellin was talking about, who gives him hugs and touches him when he doesn't want to be touched. Krellin has presumably said, "Please don't touch me, I don't like it." And then she keeps insisting on doing the hugs, and that makes her a creeper, right? So that the creepy part is that once you've articulated your boundaries, they do not respect them. And that's the creepy part. And I find, generally speaking, if somebody, like, you know, if somebody does a thing that you don't like and you say, hey, I don't like this, and they stop doing it, that people are usually, you know... Yes, exactly. That's exactly what Jer says right there. Creepy people, right? The creepers, they try and justify that behavior. And I've seen it, right? Like, I've seen it. People who want to touch you, and you say, I don't want to be touched, and then they touch you anyway. And... right? That's, hey, look. Let's go in here and see what we have. As opposed to, like, just having a misunderstanding. Because I think that... I love the fact that I can unlock everything so that I can go into all of the places. Yeah, so I think that's the difference, right? That a person who you would really think of as being a creeper knows full well that they are making you uncomfortable, and then they just do it anyway. What do we have? Medium free army armor. Doesn't seem that exciting. And then we have here some gold, a superb belt of staggering. Well, that seems exciting. We're going to take all of the things. Oh, you know, I actually like this tower. I think it's good looking. Just aesthetically, it pleases me. Okay, let's head to the other tower. Yeah, and I think that, I mean, personally, like, I know that I have things that I like and I dislike, and how are people going to know what things I like and dislike unless I tell them? And so, you know, and then I have to think about, you know, I think there's just a lot of things to ponder. And so, oh, somebody made some really nice design choices, and I appreciate that. And the stairs go... Exactly. They do... I appreciate when people make those, like, those small details. Like, I appreciate that a lot. Also, I do like that now that because, okay, I will tell you all, I was worried about having the... Oh, look at that. It's broken. Oof. I was worried about not having the chat on screen, that I wouldn't know when you were chatting. I was worried about it. But it turns out I get an indicator, so I think it's fine. How do you all feel about the bigger peephole? Do you like the bigger peephole? That sounds so dirty, everyone. That's what I want to know. Look at these sort of nice Roman-esque walls. I feel like Tevinter is the Holy Roman Empire. Oh, hi. Let's do this. Oh, I just killed them with one shot because I'm amazing. Side note. They go the right direction, but yeah. I feel like being a left-handed person would help in those circumstances if they hadn't murdered you. Those are just thoughts. Alright, let's see where we're headed. Did you hear that weird sound? I don't know. I heard like a weird sound. Made me a little nervous. But I wonder if there's a dragon around here. I mean, this is a question. Let's see. I like the peephole. Heavy panting. Tommy Christmas. Tommy Christmas likes the peephole. You know, now I kind of like it. I sort of love that we have a creepy peephole. Let's see. We have letters here. We should go and pick that up, which is south and east a little bit. And oh, there's a lot of stuff over there. There's so much stuff. I'm kind of excited. Let's go south and east. So here, to pick up something. Ooh. And then, I like creepy things. You know, Krellin says this, and it's sort of true. I do like creepy things. I suppose there's some things that are too creepy, then I don't like them. But I do like David Lynch films. I mean, this is a true thing. I'm a peeping Tommy Christmas. Yeah. Like, one of the reasons why I have that song, Come On to My House to Come On, as my, as my follow song is because it's a little bit creepy, and that amuses me.
I could do it myself.
Ooh. We have access to a new operation. That's exciting. And then also, the reason why I always feel like somebody's watching me is because it's also just a little bit creepy, and also I think it's funny, right? Because of course somebody's watching me because I'm streaming live, right? Like, that would be weird if... Anyway, I just think it's a little bit hilarious. Because... Right? I mean, I know what I'm talking about. I think it's hilarious. So it looks like there's a thing right here, but we can't get access to it. So I imagine it is underground, and we won't be able to get it unless we open up that thing, which I don't think we'll be able to open up until we go to the the war table. So those are my... That's what I would say about that. So we'll just pick it up on the flip side. It'll be fine. Also, I love that we have the best community with the dankest memes. The dankest memes? I just have decided. I feel like I'm not that cool, but I love it anyway. Trooper, what do you feel about Every Breath You Take? Oh, super creepy. Every breath you take, it's like, what are you doing? Like, why is this still here? Okay, we're good. I just feel like Every Breath You Take is super creepy. Like, there's that moment, there are a number of songs that you think are romantic, but are just not romantic, or just actually just creepy. And I feel like Every Breath You Take is one of those songs that's creepy. But here's the thing about Every Breath You Take. I feel like the police know that. I feel like, oh, but do I like it? Oh, sorry, Krellin. I misunderstood the question. Is it super creepy? It is super creepy, and I like it. Like, that is a thing that I'd be like, ooh, is there some way that I could put that on my stream somehow? Because that would be awesome. One of the things that I think the difference about if something is creepy and I like it or not, I think sometimes has to do with self-awareness. In the sense that, look, there's a thing we can take. In the sense that Sting has said, right, yes, right? So Sting has said that it's about a stalker, right? So he's self-aware. He knows it's about a stalker, and that self-awareness makes it work for me, right? And so I think that, for me, I think there's a lot of, like, I think that you can sort of play with creepiness as long as we all know what's going on and we don't ignore the creepiness or valorize the creepiness. So, for example, I think it was you, Krellin, who noted that the song "Come On to My House" is sort of creepy, and I was like, thank you, because I think so too. And it's for me, it's about the awareness of the creepiness that allows us in our media then I think we can do something with it and think about it, and then it becomes interesting. But if something is creepy and no one gets it, then I start feeling uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? Last words. A well-worn piece of paper, clearly folded and unfolded numerous times. Things I will do on my return. Have roast-born wine at the Black Swan. Visit Arnaud at the Gilded Lily. Play Wicked Grace. Swim in Lake Celestine like I used to as a child. Sometimes focusing on this list is the only thing giving me hope. A lot of dead soldiers, my friends. A lot of dead soldiers. Did this soldier get run over by this cart?
Into his hands.
There's stuff over here to do, but then there's stuff over here to do. I think we should go over and try to close that rift, and then swing around and head over to, and make our new campsite. That's what I think we should do. Because the rift is just right over there. What do we have? Then Puffy sampled it, and it became about Biggie's ghost. Yeah! That's interesting, too, right? Like, that shifting the meaning of it from so radically. I thought that was interesting. Oh, I love interesting things. Like, just so you all know, this is, like, my life. This is what I love. I love being able to sort of ponder things like that. What does it mean to reframe that song from a stalker song to be about... Oh, hi! Someone's attacking us, which I think is a little bit rude, but clearly we're going to have to deal with this right now. Let's kill some things, and let me disrupt this just a little disruption of the Fade Rift, which is fine. Everybody's turning invisible. I think we're doing really well. I think we've gotten to really good space in our lives as monster hunters. We just need to kill a couple more things. I just want to disrupt the rift. You know, I don't want a lot in life, but that's what I want. Just, you know. Gang, I'm feeling a little... I'm just feeling a little bit... Let's also now close this rift. I'm feeling a little bit like our time in Dragon Age Inquisition is coming to an end. Which is fine, but I feel like I'm gonna miss it. We're gonna do other things, and it'll be fine. We've got, you know, Life is Strange to play, and everybody's gone to Rapture to play, and... gosh, all sorts of things we've got to play. But, you know, I just feel like we're getting close to the end, and just, you know, that's all. Need to find a new... Oh, I think it won't be a problem. I think that I'm going to try to do shorter-term games here on the PS4 while I do a longer-term game on the Mac. I mean, I have got, like, a bunch of PS4 games that we can play, as well as some things online. Like, for example, I've got to play, where is it? Last of Us. I've got The Last of Us that I've been told I have to play. I want to play Uncharted. I've got Yakuza. I've got Heavy Rain. I've got all sorts of Mass Effect Andromeda, but that's a long one. But I've got all sorts of stuff. Oh, I know! There are lots of really good Mac games coming out. Barantor, which ones are you thinking about? Post them so we can think about it. I'm so excited. Sorry, side note, just thought I'd share. Oh, I should tell you all, hey, if there's anybody who's running around following, who's just hanging out and doesn't know, we have a Discord, and you can join it if you like, where we do all the Discordy things. Oh, yeah, the push for Linux games certainly helped Mac. I always think about, for me, Linux and Mac often go together in the sense that if people are going to make a translation, multi-system, they will go for Mac and Linux. So I think that's been really, really good. Oh, Jer, today's your first Exalted game? You have to tell us how it goes. That is so exciting. I know. I think hanging out will be... I just want to have really good ones where it can be like, what's going on? Ville Montevellon. Who's this by? This is from A History of the Dales by Lord Adamar Gard Oat, Royal Historian. Okay. So, Ville Montevellon was the first settlement humans established in the Dales following the victory of the Exalted March. Soldiers... The Exalted March is terrible. This is just all about murdering Dalish elves, the worst. Soldiers were the earliest residents of the village. In 221 glory, Sister Amity, champion of the Exalted March, laid the foundation stones of the village chantry in a symbolic gesture. The building's construction was completed in 222, laying aside her sword and bow. Sister Amity took on the task of leading Ville Montevellon's flock, becoming revered Mother Amity. She served the Maker for over 40 years, ministering to both residents of the Dales and the many pilgrims to the historic site. Revered Mother Amity died peacefully in her sleep in 264. Her ashes were interred in the chantry's vault, where the dozens of pilgrims still come each year to pay their respects. From Exalted, A History of the Dales, by Lord Adamar Gard Oat, Royal Historian. I think the amount of work required to make a game for Mac when you've already made it for Windows and Linux is pretty minuscule. Oh yeah, mostly just compiling on a different compiler. Yeah, and I also think that if you think about...
we should search about a bit.
Okay, I think we should. And I also think that if you are thinking about multi-platform from the beginning, it becomes not very difficult at all. So, I think it's good. It should be interesting, especially because I rolled a new character the rest of the PCs don't know about. Ooh. RimWorld is one I've seen a lot of Mac players streaming. I don't know if it's your type of game.
Do you think they'll actually make you divine?
It seems anything is possible these days.
It's so odd. Like waiting for the Chantry Fairy to appear. Congratulations, you're the ruler.
We do not engage in pitched battle for the position as you do in Tevinter.
The successor must prove he could slaughter his enemies. He doesn't actually do it. We're not savages.
Indeed. The slaughter occurs after he becomes divine.
That's considered housekeeping.
Oh, their chats, these two. I love listening to them talk. We learn so much about little things. Rimworld is such a builder type. There's always Stellaris. Oh yes, now I have played a little bit of Stellaris, and I was like, oh, now is Rimworld like Stellaris? I should check it out and see what it's like. You know what I played that I really enjoyed? I played Massive Chalice. Somebody here recommended it to me. Maybe it was Encantador. Maybe it was someone else. I don't remember who it was, but I really enjoyed that one. Massive Chalice was fun. I did 2 run-throughs. One through I ran through, and I lost at the end. So sad. And then I did a second run-through, and I did not lose, and that was good. They'll be expecting a salty sea dog, but instead get a Japanese-style no dancer. Oh, interesting. Oh, I need to check it out and see what I think about it. I like checking out new things. Memorials of the Second Exalted March, Triumph of the Light. Remember the triumph over the profane. Sister Amity led the march to the river Tenessir, where stood shrines to the elven gods. These she struck down. Standing upon the banks, she sang the chant of light. Andraste's word had come to the Dales and delivered them from wickedness. Like, isn't that terrible? So this is like a memorial about the destruction of the Dalish culture, and as a Dalish elf, I'm not about it. I'm not about it at all. Wormworld is a god mode type post-apocalyptic survival game where you manage survivors. Yeah, like Dwarf Fortress, but way more graphically intense. Oh, well then I should probably I should check it out at least. Is it on Steam? Is it on GOG? Where does it exist? I bet it, like, it's, I thought there was a thing there. Alright, what are we looking at right now? Okay, we did that. I think we could probably... Yeah, I will check out them both. So this is what I think, folks. I think there's this exciting little place here, but I think we should head east and set up our last camp, and then... There's a lot of stuff here, eh? Well, let's zoom a little bit about this area, and then head over to set up camp. See, I really feel like there's something here that we keep missing. Something perhaps interesting, or maybe not. Maybe there's nothing interesting here. It's not on good old games. Well, then I suppose I'll have to... Can I tell you all something? I want to share with you something. It's about my feelings. And it's about my feelings about Steam. I read somewhere that at any time... Hey, leave me alone. At any time on Steam, they can suspend your account, and then you don't get to play all those games that you bought. So I have always felt a little uncomfortable investing heavily in Steam games. Like, I have a lot of Steam games, and, like, it is my life, I have them, like, what am I supposed to do about that? But I've never felt all that comfortable knowing that any time for any reason without any kind of means to challenge that, you can just have your games taken from you. And oh, it's still early access? Oh, if it's early access, I'm not going to play it. I never play early access games because I don't want to beat a game in early access and have to go and play the game a whole second time once they've given a final release. So I tend to wait until it's actually released, just because I don't have a lot of time to play things twice. So anyway, I'm just paranoid, that's all. I'm just paranoid that like there'll be some kind of weird mistake, or like my account will be suspended, and then I won't have access to any of the games that I bought. So, while I have a lot of games on Steam, like I do, I mean, like, who doesn't? It just makes me nervous. It just makes me nervous. Because I don't... Like, I just feel like I can't trust it, you know? Whereas, if it's good old games, it's actually my game, I have it, and then I can play it no matter what happens. Yeah, those are just... And maybe I'm just overly paranoid, but, you know, maybe I am. I think that, no, because with good old games, you download the games and then they're yours, right? and I believe that if they suspend your account, you still have access to your games. Whereas I think that is not the case with Steam. At least that is what I have been told. Let's see. Infatuation. Lazar, I don't want you standing outside my window reciting your poetry. It's terrible. I don't love you. I don't want to be your scarlet rose. I don't want my velvet petals to unfurl for you. Ugh, I can't believe I just wrote that. It's repulsive. Please leave me alone. If you do this again, I'll tell my brother. He has an axe. It's big and sharp. Juliet. Ooh. There's a little bit of, not greatness going on there. Speaking of creepers. When you download a game from GOG, the download you get is a full dimmer. Yes, that's exactly right. See, that was always my impression of GOG, is that when you get a game, you actually get it and it's yours. Whereas I believe with Steam, if they... See, I read about this, right? Somebody got their account suspended, and then they could not access any of the hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of games. Not hundreds of thousands, hundreds or thousands of dollars worth of games they had. Now, mind you, I think that person got their account suspended because they were talking smack in Steam forums. Like, they were saying messed up stuff, and so then they got their account suspended. And I never talk on Steam forums, so I suppose I'll be fine, but I don't know. You don't need to sign into Steam to play the games you've downloaded, though. Oh, is that true? Huh. Really? Interesting. I will have to look into that. Because if that is true, Jared, then I will feel more comfortable. Also, side note, I have a 3 terabyte hard drive, and it's almost full, and now I want a bigger hard drive, and my life is sad. Instructions for... Oh, that is true of games that don't have... but if a game does have Steam DRM integration, then you can't. Makes me feel uncomfortable. Instructions for the maid. Kelly, here are the instructions for maintaining the house while we're gone. Don't let any soldiers in. Tell them to go away, that the lord of the house bids it. Keep the fire burning in the hearth every night, in case we return. You know we don't like it when it's cold. Make sure the linens are warmed as well, just in case. Papillon would be in trouble on the road, so we are leaving her with you. Make sure she gets her butter puffs and don't upset her. Say your prayers. Feed the fish. We will return when the war is over. Madame Paulette. Madame Paulette's the worst. Madame Paulette is the worst. Don't like her. I don't like Madame Paulette. I think that she's, not okay. And I don't like her vibe. Oh. There's something around here. By the way, we're just sort of checking out this, ruined village to see if we can find something interesting. Let's take this. Old journal. An old journal, clearly much beloved. Whose journal is this? We don't know. I weep at what the armies have done. Ditches scar the landscape. There's fire everywhere. All around is the smell of bitter smoke and spilled blood. I remember coming here as a boy. It was late summer and the plains were bright and golden. The earth was warm and felt like home. All that's gone. My mother said my father was from these parts. She never told anyone but me that he was an elf. Maybe part of me, the elf-blooded part, feels what the Zalish felt for centuries. This is my home. I would give anything to preserve it. I'll go now with the others, but when the war's over, I will return. It will be beautiful again. Oh. Though a lot of games have online DRM integration these days, Steam or not. Hey, welcome back, PH. I don't like the DRM. I don't like it. Also, I think we're in trouble and we're gonna die. I feel like this is the moment where we walk into water and die. Just so you know. Because we can't swim. That's our tragic flaw as a hero. And, so I feel... Oh, okay, good. We're not dead yet. But I think we've got bad things happening. PH, I'm so impressed how soon you saw through the narrator. I took it all in faith the first time around. Oh! Well, for me, one of the things that was like, let's take this. Grey whiskey, right wine, conscription ale. A bottle marked vintage, Warden Karnik. Notes of fruit and anger. Ooh. For me, there were a couple of things that started to make me feel uncomfortable. Right, so I would say the beginning, a lot of the analysis that the narrator was giving us in the beginning pretty valid analyses. Like, those are kind of analyses that you can imagine. No one likes the DRM, but except you do have to give the third world of the second paragraph. Oh, Cher. But see, the thing is, this is what I was thinking about, right? I was like, okay, well, let's see. In the beginning, a lot of the analysis was pretty standard analysis that I didn't necessarily feel creeped out about. I was like, okay, this analysis, right, is fine. But then, some of the analysis started feeling a bit too much. Like, there's a lot of assumptions being made about who, like, how do I put this? So when doing analysis, you have to watch out a little bit about the intentional fallacy, where you're sort of reading what the creator intended when you don't really know the creator so much. Like, you can, I think it's more interesting to talk about impact than intent, like what's this about, what's going on. And anyway, like, some of that analysis started getting really, like, a lot of assumptions about who, like, pretty quickly about who that creator was in ways that I wasn't certain that, I didn't necessarily buy the readings. I was like, well, that's one reading of this, but that's certainly not the only possible reading. And then it sort of assumed a particular kind of intimacy with the creator that I wasn't quite certain about. And then the minute, and this is when I was like, hold on. But when I started, I was like, hold on a second. When basically there were two things, right? For me, there were two things I was like, hold on a second. And the two things were, when it became clear that the narrator was editing the code in order to get past... It was like in one of the early ones, right? Where there was a thing where, like, well, there's this stuff that's here that you wouldn't be able to see. I'm going to edit the code so you can see it, and then start doing interpretations about what that meant. And I was like, well, hold on a second. But now you're changing the text, right? You're changing the text. And so that put me on, like, suspicion about what's going on, because once you change, like, you editing the text all of a sudden changes it. So that was a little bit sketchy to me. And then when we got to the prison games and the narrator's like, oh, we're just going to skip through all of these. And then I was like, well, hold on a second. Like, that was like a moment where I was put on edge. Because then it was very clear that the narrator was deciding what was and what wasn't important for me as the player to see in those games. And if like you need to see all the text, right? I was set, like, that was bad analysis is what I would say. And so I was set on edge about the ways in which our experience was being curated, and that was, like, rubbing up against the fact that I actually wanted to see some of these things that I was being pushed past, and I also wasn't agreeing with some of the interpretations, and I wanted a bit more information. So that was when I was, like, keying on that there was something not okay there. Yeah, right? Yes, Krellin, that's exactly right. And I was like, well, hold on a second. Like, wait a minute. I wanted, and so, like, Krellin said he's a creeper, but, like, for me, like, I try to reserve my own judgment before we get there, but I just thought there was bad analysis going on, an analysis that was, like, a little bit off, and was moving to a space where it's like, hold on, like, how do we know this symbolizes that? Hold on a second. And so, then that and the editing, right? Like, especially because, sorry, but this is like a thing, because part of the point of the analysis was what he wanted the player to get a hold of or not get a hold of, or how we're supposed to think of Coda. The fact that we were getting access to things that Coda didn't want us to get access to made a lot of those readings not work, and the fact that the narrator was talking about, like, what the player would get out of this when these were not meant to be seen by other people. So very early on I was like, okay, well, hold on, how do you have access to these things if they weren't meant to be seen? And so there were some things about the story that was not making sense even in the very beginning, and there was just something about the analysis that I wasn't feeling comfortable with as an analyzer. Like, that's what I do. Like, that is my job. Like, all I do all day are take text and analyze them and try to figure out what they're on about. And so there was something about that particular analysis that started out fine, but started getting not good, like pretty quickly. And it wasn't like creeper yet, but I was like, what is this? This is a bad analysis, and it's a bad analysis that is assuming lots of sort of stuff that I don't think you can assume without evidence. And I remember saying at one point in time, I was like, well, like, do you know more stuff than we know? Because right now your analysis does not work with what we're being seen. And so I was like, I did not appreciate that's just like bad analysis. Pont Agur. A plaque on the bridge of the Pont Agur reads, dedicated to all, elven and human, who lost their lives in the second Exalted March. Pont Agur was built 100 years after the Exalted March of the Dales. It was named for Mayor Agur of Ville-Montevelen, who raised the money to have the bridge built after several villagers drowned in a ferry accident trying to cross the river, swollen after the rains. Some villagers took offense at the dedication message on the bridge, which honors fallen elves as well as humans. Rumors that the mayor was elf-blooded began circulating. He was forced to step down. Oh, I am not having a good time with our Orlesians. I will tell you what. They're creeping me out. Let's, oh, we can unlock an operation. We're gonna unlock stuff.
Rely on this bridge for everything. Communication, supplies. How long has this been going on?
It's a good question. We're gonna have to open up a whole bunch of stuff, which means, of course, that we're not done with the Exalted Plains, because there's stuff over here we're gonna clearly have to get access to. That's fine. Let us head back to this campsite, which is south and a little bit east. I feel like repairing bridges is good work. So, those of you who did not watch us play the Beginner's Guide, we played the Beginner's Guide on Thursday. That's what we were doing. And the game is not very long. If you haven't played it, you should. But it will stick with you, or at least it's sticking with me. And I'm still, because clearly we're still talking about it right now. Because, you know, it is, there's a lot going on there in that game, and I still think about it. But I also really like the Stanley Parable, so that's exciting. I think the people who made the Stanley Parable, there was a pair of them, and I think they broke up. Oh yeah, it sticks. Yeah, it sticks with me to think about. Oh, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. I don't think we are in the place we need to be. Let's see if we can. Probably not. We probably can't climb up here. Let's see. Where are we at? Quest map. Yeah, we are not where we need to be. We need to head south here. It took me about a week to recover after Drunkly played it. Oh, hey, Drunkly played it. That's exciting. I didn't know that. That's cool. I've got to find the VOD of Drunkly's playthrough, because I want to see how he responded to the game. That is really interesting to me. Well, I think it depends. You know, this is such a good question, Krellin. I think it depends. I think that there are games that... I think it depends. Because with your playthrough, you saw through it so fast, it didn't have the gut punch we got when we saw the Don't Contact Me thing. Oh. Is not playing a game you bought a valid choice? I think it is. Krellin, we're going to have to talk about this. Krellin, we're going to have to talk about this when I play The Gods Must Be Watching to see how that goes. That's going to be a question. I think that not playing is a valid choice. But of course, there are games that count on you to do that, right? There are games wherein not playing is actually sort of built into it. So that's... I want to get there. Let's see. I suppose we'll just have to head north. Right, so like for example, a game that I can't... There's a game that I would love to stream for you all. Like, I really would love to stream it for you all, but I can't.
I avoid any job that could turn out like this.
But I can't stream it for you all because I am pretty certain that Twitch will not. It violates Twitch's TOS, big time. Although the game was made in such a way as to not technically violate the TOS, even though, how do we? I'm just saying. Ooh. It was so. No. So, I will tell you about the game. The game is called Tea Room. It's a historical bathroom simulator, and it's about sort of gay blowjobs in a bathroom in the 1960s. And it's by Richard Wang, I think is his name. And he's done a number of games that are sort of erotic, and they are... How am I going to get in here? Well, I'm going to have to try... Let's try moving around then. Anyway, oh, it's lost the internet. That's too bad. So here's the thing, though, right? So in the game, right, it's about giving blowjobs to random men in a bathroom in the 1960s, and maybe, oh, hey, Starletter, how are you doing? We're talking about this game that I really want to stream, but I can't, because it basically violates the TOS because it's pornographic, although it's not. So because Richard Wang wants to make a point about the TOS, right, he replaced all the penises with guns. So there are no penises in the game, there are only guns in the game. And so you're not actually filleting penises, you're filleting guns, which then of course explode. So he's like, see, you all love guns so much, so this should be totally fine, right? But it's not, that's not gonna, I don't think, right? Oh, Letter of Stars. So despite the fact that you know, he did this sort of workaround, which should make it fine, they're not gonna let that one go. Yes, the guns start off being flesh-shaped, flesh-colored, although they always look like guns, but then as they get harder, they look more and more like guns, because, you know, it is, yeah, that is what that is. Oops! Sorry, wrong button. So, I think it's, yeah, I don't know how we're supposed to, I don't know. So I think that the critique was really interesting, and there's a lot of interesting things about the game, I think. For example, if you get caught by the police, you lose all of your progress, right? So like the minute you are caught by the police, you lose everything. And so that makes the game makes you very paranoid over time about everything, really. We're gonna jump down here. Oh, apparently we can't jump down here. None of that, apparently. And now I'm injured. Oops. And so the only way, in some ways, and I think this is really interesting, I want to climb down here, and they're not letting me. I want to climb down there! But the only way to actually sort of not get caught by the police is to quit the game. Right, so there's this interesting mechanic where if you don't want to lose all of your progress and sort of be arrested, you have to just quit and quit. So the game involves you quitting out whenever it starts looking dangerous and bad. Oh, well, I was in the castle, though. I think we pretty much... Yeah, I think we basically went through all of that castle. We did that. And it looks like we can't jump down here. It is different from not playing. It is true. This is true. But it's playing with this idea, right, of quitting the game as being a way to sort of mitigate. But of course, you're right. It is not the same thing as not playing. I mean, like never launching the game or quitting and never coming back being the right answer. I mean, I actually am really interested in those questions, right? Is there a game that you win by just not playing? And that is a thing. I'm also the idea of can you win by sabotaging the game is something that I'm also
Demons are coming closer.
interested in. Let's talk to this person.
Inquisitor dead.
We've got nothing to say.
I shall take my leave.
Good day.
Alright, we need to get... Where are we going? We're here. We were running around. I want to get up there. That's not working for us. So we just need to head north again. We're going to head north again, and we're going to go that way. Ooh, there we go. Well, there's global thermonuclear war. Though I argue that planet Earth is the winner if GTN ends up wiping out humanity. Well, long term, this is fair. So yeah, I think the idea of, like, I'm very interested in what if the right answer is to sabotage the game you're playing, is to sabotage the main character, is to not play, and how do you, like, what do you think about that? But then I also wonder, yes, because long term is the only scale that planet Earth plays on. But I also wonder, like, I mean, for me, if I were going to make a game where not playing is really the only right answer, I would make that a free game. I would not make you pay for that one. But back to player choice, I think it's tricky, because I think that I mean, first off, whatever choices you have are limited by what the developer gives you, as well as the choice of not playing, right? So that's a thing. But within that space, knowing that, I want to know how we get here. We'll find a way. But within that space, we know that some games actually then give you a limited set of choices with which to choose from, and then you can sort of think about what choices you're making within that context. I can find two reasons not playing would be a valid choice. You want to support a company even though the specific game is not for you, or if the game is so bad it's not worth going back to. Well, this is interesting. I feel like there are more choices than that. Hello, Discarded River Garrison. Let's see what we're looking at. Okay, this looks exciting. One, I think that certainly sort of, okay, so, Krellin, I have not yet played it, but it's right there. You cannot see it, but right there I've got my bookshelf full of games. And it is, where is it? Well, all my games are alphabetized, because of course they are. That's how I am. It's right up there. Spec Ops: The Line. I have it. I have it for the 360, so I will play it, but I won't stream it because I cannot stream my 360. But I am planning on playing it because I was told that that is a game that I should play. That there's interesting stuff going on there, so I certainly will do so. I own games that don't work on my computer. Yeah, no, I've heard really good things about Spec Ops: The Line as well, so I'm very interested in it. I was told that it was a game that I would like to play, so it's like, oh, okay, by people that it does interesting things for me. So I was like, all right, I will play it. I haven't played it yet, but I do plan on it. I have to get some time to play games that I can't stream, so I have to sort of work that out. I think there are monsters in here. Hello, soldier. Can I talk to you? Apparently not. Because you actually have... Oh, yeah. I've had too many problems with the gameplay. I've yet to finish it. So I think I want to make a distinction between games that you stop playing because they're bad and games you stop playing because you're making a choice. Does that make it, like, for example, so, because you actually served in the military, and I think it does something really disrespectful. I don't know, it depends. People in the military have done really disrespectful things. Let's see, Riverside Garrison. This ancient structure has stood since the time of the Elven Kingdom of the Dales. Since then, it has fallen to ruin. No one alive knows for what the elves used it. Grand Duke Gaspar's forces claimed it was an outpost early in the Orlesian War. Okay, don't tell me any more, but I'm interested to find out. But this is what I know about Spec Ops: The Line, that in some ways it's very much like the Heart of Darkness. In some way, that, like, that's... What do we have going on here? Are we being attacked? I think we're fine? Something is happening here in this garrison that we're going to find out about. Alright. So I hear it's sort of got a Heart of Darkness thing going on, and that's interesting. I stopped playing XCOM 2 Long War once because it was just taking way too long. So, I mean, I will... And I hear that there are sort of like really rough things that go on. I hear it's sort of it's a critique of militarism in certain ways. I mean, again, I've not played it, so I don't know. And people have not told me any specific spoilers, just sort of vagaries. But I will say for the record, I am not one of those people that is like never criticize the troops. Like, if the troops are committing melee massacres, then yes, you can criticize the troops, right? So I don't know what the game does, but I hear that it's critical, and I'm interested to see what that means and how that actually sort of plays itself out. So I had this problem for a really long time, and that problem was that I couldn't quit a game. I felt too guilty. If I started a game, I had to finish it, whether or not I was enjoying the game. I mean... Oops. Oh, ouch. Ouch. Now, that said, I tried really hard to finish any game that I started, right? That was like a thing that I sort of was a thing of mine. And there were only a couple games that I didn't finish early on in my life, right? So, like, I didn't finish... There was a game that I sort of couldn't finish. What was it? It was like Kingdom Under Fire. Yeah, right? And I'm not really about that. Like, I just feel like it is... I think one has to be critical. I think that is part of everything, right? Including of ourselves. I think that sort of being skeptics is really important. And I think that sort of blind boosterism, no matter what it is we're talking about, is never a good thing. I think one always has to be sort of self-aware and self-critical. It might sort of do some of those things, but it presents it as criticizing you, the player, not the military. Oh, interesting. The worship of the armed forces. Yeah. So I also... Whether or not, how am I going to feel about the game criticizing you, the player, will be interesting. I think it sort of depends on how it's done. Like, it might be really awesome, or it might not be awesome. I don't know. I don't know. I can't say yet. I have to see how it's done. See, this might actually sort of bring me to the sort of Bob Fosse situation. Bob Fosse likes to criticize the audience in ways that I sometimes feel are not fair. So... I think it depends on whether or not I feel like it's like legitimately done art. Let's see. Bottles of Thetis. Finale by Masad. The last bottling from the legendary vintners of Ferelden before lands were divided. Tears on the glass as slow as the turning of a reluctant air, as quick on the tongue as the words that can't be unsaid. Ooh. Sounds like very fancy alcohol. But I need to play it. So I was saying about Bob Fosse. Bob Fosse sometimes, I think, cheats in order to critique the player, and I find that if you cheat in order to do it, it often loses the impact. Like, I feel like, yeah. So I don't know yet. I have to I know that there are some big things, and I don't know what they are because I have not been told. And why are things floating? That's interesting. Huh. Interesting. So for me, a lot of it is about, is it done... Well, like, how's it done? What are you doing? Well, I don't know if it's bugged or if it's magic, right? Because you don't know, right? There's a space of magic. So I think it depends on how it goes, right? And I think that there are ways to make it unfair. Again, I have not played Spec Ops: The Line yet, so I don't know if Spec Ops: The Line does it in ways that I would think of as unfair or not. I cannot say. So, here's a thing here, but I don't know. Let me look at the map. What is this? Below the signaling horn. Oh, alright, well, I don't know if I can. Bugs. Bugs are magic. Confirmed. So, I mean, for me, what I would say is it's tricky. I mean, there are times when I felt like, there are times when I feel like some of these critiques have been unfair, and sometimes when I think they have been fair. So, yeah. I thought friendship was magic. I think both bugs and friendship can be magic. I think they both can be magic. So so here's an example. You know when we were playing Dragon Age Inquisition, and, I went and I raided those Dalish elven tombs, and then I got in trouble for it. I feel like that was fair. I remember when I was in seminary, our teachers were all against any type of video and computer games. Uh-oh, it's magic. Well, a lot of people are... Big horn. A lot of people don't know what they're talking about when they're against video games. Like, that's just, like, whatever. Sorry. See, like, I felt like that critique, that thing that we, like, that I thought was fair, and I thought it was fair for a couple of reasons. That horn was loud. It was. One of the reasons why I thought that was fair, sort of being punished for that particular sort of tomb raiding, was because we were reading texts about the holy nature of this space and the importance of it, and so there was a little bit of a, hey, maybe you don't want to raid the, like, we were given an indication, and then I made that choice anyway. I made the choice, and I can tell you why I made the choice. I know exactly what I did, and I know exactly what happened, and that's one of the reasons why I thought it was a little bit brilliant. Why did I rob those tombs? I robbed those tombs because in video games, you always loot everything all the time, right? Like, even without thinking, it's just all you do is loot stuff. So, I thought that it was interesting and cool for them to play with those expectations of looting and sort of thinking about how, like, actually maybe that is not always a cool thing to do. And so I appreciated that. I thought that was really good. But I think it would not have been as fair had there not been some indication in the game that maybe this particular set of looting was not ethical. So, yeah. So, like, I think they did a good job with it because of the ways in which they did signal that in this instance the looting was maybe not appropriate. If they'd never given you any signal at all, and they'd sort of built a game that was built around looting, and then they punished you for it, like, really big and heavy, then I think that would have been maybe less okay. Also, the punishment was not, just means that it's going to be harder for me to win over the Dalish elves, but I still can do it. So it lets us ponder the nature of looting in video games, and gives us a consequence, but I feel like they did it fairly. Educator teachers are planless, it was video games. Educator teachers are planless, it was video games in general. So, I mean, what I would say about sort of demonizing video games is that a couple of things. This is just, if you know your history, people said the exact same things about novels when they became popular. People said the exact same things about film when it became popular. People said the exact same things about television when that became popular. Level 9, whatever. Clueless, yes, Clueless. Right, I mean, that's the thing, that this is just actually in some ways about anxiety about new media, right? I mean, it's about people who feel uncomfortable with new media, and this happens every single time. And people sort of think this new media is the worst. But then they conveniently forget that they didn't like the old media, right? And I think this is I love that Star's our translator. like, so I mean, this is the thing I've been thinking about. I was thinking about this in terms of video game addiction and the discourse around video game addiction. I was having dinner with a colleague recently, and I was trying to explain, ooh, you should post the fun comic about blaming video games because I want to see it. Oh, good, stick in the Discord. I want to see it really badly. I'm really excited about this. So anyway, I was having dinner with a colleague, and I was wanting to talk about, she was. So I wanted to talk about this thing that happened around World of Warcraft, where there was like a big plague that happened that sort of like destroyed Stormwind in ways that was not expected. Where basically there was a. Do you think we can get out of here from here? Doesn't actually look like we can. We're gonna have to find another way around. Anyway, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if y'all heard about it or not. But there was like a monster that had some kind of plague on it, and it would infect you, and then you could infect other people. But the monster was sort of out in the middle of nowhere. So basically, and you had a certain amount of time to try to get over it. But basically, it was about like a party wipe, right? It was about wiping your party. But somebody kited that monster into the capital city of Stormwind. Yeah, and like and it was like a long involved kite to get them in, and once it hit that capital city, it just basically everybody was dying to this plague really, really quickly. Some boss had an infection. Yep, that wasn't supposed to ever leave the zone, but some players trained the infection back. Yes, that was exactly the story, Krellin. And what was interesting was that then some epidemiologists went and studied this as an example of right how infections move, and it was really interesting. And I was bringing this up to my colleague to sort of explain this interesting sort of use of video games for epidemiology, which I thought was really interesting. But how are we going to get over here, people? How do we do this? I wonder if the only way through is around. What do you think? Because we are being stymied. You know what? I think we have to fix that bridge. That's what I think we have to do. Let's ponder that for a moment. Let's see. Because I bet we can do it if we fix the bridge. But I want to know how we get here. How do we get this camp? Maybe we have to go all the way around. That's possible. Let's jump here. Yeah, that's right. The thing is, I think we have to fix this bridge. So here's the thing, right? So I think this is interesting. So we had, so I was trying to explain to her what World of Warcraft was, so she could understand the whole thing about the epidemiology. Otherwise, I don't think she would get it. And so I said, oh, this was a game that at its height had like 12 million people playing it. And her response was, this is what her response when I said there are 12 million people playing World of Warcraft. Her response was, I wonder how many of those people were addicted to the video game. And here's where I'm feeling uncomfortable, because I don't feel very comfortable with the narrative of video game addiction. And one of the things is that I've heard people say things like, oh, there are young people who play 4 hours of a video game a day. Like 4 hours a day they're playing these video games. They're clearly addicted. But the thing is that the average American watches 8 hours of TV a day, and nobody says that Americans are addicted to television anymore. They used to, right? In the 50s, we would talk about television addiction, but we don't anymore. And if I spent 4 or 5 hours a day practicing my violin in my basement, people would think that was great, and they would never say I was addicted to violin. And so there's, like, for me, like, so look, there's a thing that's supposed to be here. And it should be, like, right here, but I can't see it. It should be what is it? Some sort of shard. Oh no, it's a soldier's letter that we're supposed to be finding. And I can't find it. Take notes for a future show on game addiction. Oh, I mean, certainly, please do. And so this, oops, sorry. And so this is the thing that I've been very sort of frustrated with, that, but see, they wouldn't, because we value the violin, right? Like, you can spend excessive amounts of time, and I also think what's interesting about that is that even if you were not, if you were not, what's the word? If you were not neglecting your hygiene, nutrition, and social stuff to play video games, and it was just part of your regular media, but you did it for 4 hours, people would be like, oh my gosh, 4 hours a day, you're clearly addicted, right? There's like, and it's because of the ways in which, as a new media, we still stigmatize video game play. I feel like it's really hard to classify purely psychological addiction as addiction. Yeah, I mean, people with a predilection for that can get addicted to anything. Funny. Yeah, right. No, yeah. You play Oregon Trail for hours and it's education. I would say that there's a case for video game addiction, though in a psychological standpoint, not a dependency standpoint. But then, of course, the question becomes, oops, pardon me, is it actually, I mean, is it video game addiction, or is it self-medication? What is this? Oh, sad weapon. Huh. So there's a thing here, and I can't find it. I wonder if it's up there somewhere. I wonder if we can actually get up there at all. Right, so I mean, are you actually addicted to video games? Or are you self-medicating because you have other things going on and you're using video games for that self-medication? But it could be anything. It could be bridge. It could be, it could be anything. I know Sad Weapon is a great name. So like that's a question, right? And I for me, I am very interested when we treat different things samely, right? Or same things differently. So when you spend hours and hours reading books or playing violin or working out at the gym or things that people think are somehow admirable and laudable, then you don't get the same kinds of discourse around you, right? You can be, and so I just think about this a lot. I was thinking about especially a definition for being on the spectrum, and one of those definitions was about sort of like being obsessive about your hobbies as being an indicator that you could be on the spectrum. And I was like, well, interesting, because in my experience, it's only nerd hobbies that will get people saying, oh, you might be on the spectrum. But if your hobbies are football or baseball, then people don't say that about you. So I just sort of noticed that some things will get you stigmatized and pathologized, and other things will not. And, I just feel like maybe we should talk about that. Why is it that being obsessive over some things just makes you like a good old all-American, but then being obsessed about other things means that you have a mental illness? And so, like, that's just a thing that I would like to maybe ponder a little bit. That's all. Did we do it? Did we get across? As someone that actually worked in a clinic that did autism diagnosis, that's just a layman's... Oh, no, and I do think it is a layman's misunderstanding. I think that's completely true. I agree with you, Krellin. But I am interested in the ways in which we get these... because a lot of... how do you put this? Being obsessive about baseball would set off a clinician as much as being... Oh, yeah. But what's interesting... I'd leave diagnosing foot players with autism to the pros. It's a kind of obsession. But this is what I think is really interesting, that we are living in a space where people like to diagnose people with mental illnesses when they are not mental health professionals. Right? We get laymen diagnosing people all the time, and they do not diagnose consistently, right? So we get people like, oh, that person. I mean, all the time, people who are not who are laymen have decided to diagnose people in and then also stigmatize people for some hobbies but not others, right? For some obsessions but not others. And I think that's right. And I think that going back to who said it, what PH said, right? PH talked about sort of neglecting hygiene, nutrition, and social stuff, right? And that being right an important. We've got things that we can pick up here. I think we've actually made it to a new place. Let's look on the map. Oh, totally, Jer. Totally. And you're like, well, no, actually, that's not. Hey, look, I think that we've made it across. Or maybe we didn't. Maybe we just thought we did, but we didn't, and it's just sad. Yeah, no, we didn't actually make it to a new space. I thought we did, but we didn't. But I think we might be able to get... There's a letter there, and a letter there. Well, let's head south and see what we can get. Let's collect some stuff. And I think about the ways in which sort of laymen use mental health, fake mental health diagnoses to stigmatize people who are other, right? To stigmatize nerds, to stigmatize people who are not fitting in with society, right? So, like, the problem is actually maybe society and not the person. Do you know what I mean? I know what I'm talking about. Let's loot this. And I just noticed sort of differential treatment in ways that makes me feel uncomfortable. And this is, of course, and again, we're not talking about actual mental health professionals who, this is what they do for a living. The nerd thing is what created a lot of difficulty for me as a kid. Yeah. And I just, yeah. Although, I will say, it's not like mental health professionals never also have these problems, in terms of questionable diagnoses, right? Because, which is part of actually sort of thinking, oh, good morning to HUDs, which is sort of thinking about some of the new movements, right? Sort of thinking about neurodiversity as not actually being a problem. Oh, good. I'm glad that you're becoming human. Oh, hey, look. There's a thing that it looks like we haven't looked at yet. So I feel like we did a good thing by coming here. Right. So that's part of the neurodiversity movement, sort of like trying to think about some differences not actually being a problem, not being bad. It's actually why most diagnoses need to be independently verified by another clinician. Well, but the problem is when society... Okay, here's the thing. A lot of mental illness diagnoses have to deal with also whether or not this like hampers your ability to sort of exist in the world. But the problem is that sometimes the reason why you don't exist in the world, you cannot exist in the world, is not because of your problem, but the world's problem, right? Do you know what I mean? So if society treats you really poorly, we can say that you have a mental illness, or we can say that society maybe should stop treating you really poorly. And I think about, I mean, of course, the obvious examples would be when homosexuality was seen as a mental illness, when really that was the fact that was meant, homosexuality is not a mental illness, it was the fact that society needs to stop, like, treating homosexuals poorly. But also you can look at things like women in the 1950s being diagnosed with depression at, like, huge, and medicated, so they would shut up, at, like, huge rates, or young people, like there are clearly moments where diagnoses are being given differentially based on other criteria, sexuality, race, gender. Right, and no, and of course, Krellin, they're not mutually exclusive. If society treats you really poorly, you will often end up having bad mental outcomes because of it, and that's 100% true. Oh yeah, Right, exactly. Not all deviations from the norm are bad, and I just think we have to be careful when we start diagnosing people and trying to shut them away so we don't have to see them. Like, is that them, or is that society as a whole? And just being a little bit careful about it, because sometimes I think that we are just mistreating people. Yeah, a disability is something that actively hampers you. Autism is not the same as homosexuality. The neurodiversity movement is the same as the deaf movement, itself fetishizing a disability. Well, some people would argue that what they have is not actually hampering them at all. And so, like, I think that becomes where we have to sort of think about it. And, I mean, I think we have to ponder it. This letter, found in the pocket of an undershirt of a dead soldier, is nothing more than a heart drawn on paper, then rolled up and secured with a gold ring. But I think we have to think about this when we have to listen to people when they tell us things. I think that's important. To hear people. And I don't know, I think we have to hear people. And I think that's, yeah. When people tell us their experiences, I think that's important. And if somebody can function, but they just make us uncomfortable, like that, you know, I don't know about that. The DSM is also greatly flawed. Oh, it is. And that it's created by psychiatrists, not psychologists, yet psychologists are still required to use it to diagnose. Yeah. I wonder why we haven't been here before. Or, like, it really seems like we haven't been through this area. But I thought we'd been through all of this before. I mean, they're just, and I think you can look at the history of mental health care and see the ways in which all sorts of things. I feel there are a lot of people that tell us their experiences that we just don't listen to, and I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you, Carlin, and I think it's important. And maybe we might disagree, but at least we should listen, and then we can, right, have a, like, we have to think about it. We also have to think about power, right? Like, if a person who doesn't have power is telling you something, right, or a stigmatized person in some way, like, I think we really need to be thoughtful about all of this in ways that I think Carlin is right, we often are not. A bottle of Thetis, Alvarado's bathtub boot screech. If you can read this, you haven't drunk it. How is it that I've not been to this place before already? I feel like that's weird to me, because I feel like we've been through most of this area. Oh, no, I suppose we haven't, right? It looks like we haven't. Yes, I agree. So there's a lot of this zone we haven't actually been to. I think we should push through to this area right here, which is like south and east a little bit. So south and east. So we're going to head this way and see what we get. We assume a lot of power, or power based on awfully superficial traits. Well, it depends on who's doing it, right? I mean, I'm thinking about... well, I will say this. Sometimes power is given based on superficial traits, right? Our society will often give people power based on superficial traits, so superficial traits are sometimes quite relevant to that topic. Because of... Who are you? Because of the ways in which power is often distributed based on superficial traits. Now, sometimes I think it's also important to remember... Hi, are you attacking me? That there are always overlapping circles of privilege and oppression, and that somebody who may have vectors of privilege on one count can also have vectors of oppression on another count, and not to forget that we have to sort of think intersectionally so that we can see the sort of, you know, the nuances of people's social position. Because, right, there are nuances to people's social positions. People can... I just feel like we haven't even been here before. I'm gonna just stab that person. Well, hit them with my bow. Yeah, we clearly have not been here before. That's interesting to me. Yeah. And so I just think it's right, it's important to sort of think intersectionally about what we're doing and pondering the ways in which somebody might have one thing that gives them a vector of privilege, but then really not have something that doesn't on the other hand. Basically be intersectional. Oh, life is complicated. Life is super complicated. If it's not a hamper, then why simultaneously push for accommodations to it? Sorry, I just woke up so salty, but yeah, as a blind dude, I just have no patience for those who take with one hand and shit on the other. Autism is perhaps a different mode of human understanding. The question becomes, does this increase the utility of the individual with regard to their own desires or hinder it? And that's the rub. The boundaries of accommodation need to both allow the individual to self-actualize, but must... We got cut off there. Well, but I also think, I mean, I think about this, it's like, hamper or hinder, things can do both, right? I mean, lots of things, I feel like things can do both, right? Like, if you have a hard time understanding sarcasm, for example, oh, hi everybody. There are a lot of people we need to kill right now, just side note. Also, I don't know what's happening here. Leave me alone. But I also think, like, if somebody can't understand sarcasm and certain kind of interpersonal nuances, but they're really good at other things that might help, that are really great for the world, like, they're really great at math, or they're really great at art. Like, I don't see why being, like, all of this is. Elemental barriers, alright. Hey. This is clearly a place that we haven't been before. Just side note. Wait, let's get there. Come here for a second. Let's save for a moment. Oop, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to save, because we haven't saved in a while. Let me see. That was a long post. Not because of the ability of others to do the same by causing... Hold on. Others to limit their own actualization. Sorry, it was actually way longer. My downside, because I've been brutally honest, I got a bunny, you're dumb, then I was grown up acting, then I was a grown-up acting grown-up dumb. There's a utilitarian functionalist argument, Trooper. That's a utilitarian... well, no, I'm just saying that if just because a person might need an accommodation doesn't mean that they're not worthwhile, right? And I think a person can say, sure, I need an accommodation for this thing, but that doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. I think that's what I'm trying to say, that I think that a person needing an accommodation doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them. And I think that sort of equating somebody needing an accommodation with there's something being wrong with somebody is a little bit tricky. That's what I would say. And so it's not, like, I mean, whether or not a person can do things, it doesn't matter, right? But the point is that I just don't know, I don't feel comfortable assuming that just because somebody needs an accommodation means there's something wrong with them. That's what I would say. So let's say there's a person who needs an accommodation, but doesn't otherwise, I mean, like, so there's no utility for them. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to have a utility, but the point is that I just don't think that assuming that a person needs an accommodation by our society automatically means that there's something wrong with them. There might be something wrong with society instead. That's what I would say. What do we have? Okay, what I heard was that person might be bad at X, but what if they're good at Y? And that's a deeply problematic argument. I mean, a person could be good at nothing, right? They could be good at absolutely nothing, but that still doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. I just think the idea of saying that somebody needing an accommodation means there's something wrong with them is a very sort of ableist or neurocentric point of view. and there may not be anything wrong with them at all. It may be just that we have sort of organized our society in a way that makes it hard on them. For example, here's an example. Um, Here's an example. I'm left-handed. This is like I think a fairly neutral example. I'm left-handed. Our society is set up for right-handed people, which means that left-handed people die earlier than right-handed people because we get into more accidents. And I will sometimes have problems because, and they're really minor problems. Like we're going to the most neutral example, right? I might have problems writing because there are no desks for me. I might have problems cutting things because there are no scissors I can use. Now, I think it would be wrong to say that, and I'm going to say, I need a desk that I can use. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me, I need to be stigmatized. What the problem is that we make all the desks for right-handed people, right? So I think that there is a way to sort of say, to acknowledge difference without stigmatizing that difference, and acknowledge that a person might have a problem in the way that society is set up without that being there's something wrong with them. But acknowledging that maybe what's happening instead is that society is sort of made for other people, right? There are these sort of underlying assumptions. I am sinister. Oh, have we? Oh, we have leveled up. Nice. We are pretty in the United States. In the 21st century, that has often stopped happening. And actually, there are. It depends. There might be still some places where that happens, but generally speaking, that doesn't happen so much anymore. At my father's generation, people were forced to use their right hand, which can cause problems. It can cause, if you're forced to use your right hand, if you're left-handed, that for some left-handed people that can cause dyslexia and some other issues. But yeah, so my point is that that is a situation where that's not there's nothing wrong with being left-handed, right? But it's a problem in our society when everything's built toward right-handed people. But there's nothing wrong with being left-handed. I should open the leftorium. Yeah, so you know what I mean. And so I think that I think part of and we can think about it. But I think part of some of the neurodiversity movement is saying hey, wait a minute, there actually is nothing wrong with this. It's just that things have been set up in a way that don't work for us, but that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. And we can there are so many nuances, right? But I think that the idea that maybe we should also think about how society is treating people, I think is something that is worthwhile. The couching in moral terms is a flawed way to think of it, mainly because the purpose of accommodations or lack thereof is not a moral decision, but a consequential one where the majority is catered to just because it is simply the most likely to use a service or good. It becomes more and more likely with decreasing populations that their needs will be served. Would Tripper look good in a Ned Flanders costume, though? I don't know. I don't know if I would. I'd have to check it out. The couching in moral terms is a flawed way to think of it. Well, if we don't think about moral or ethics, right? Oh, see, yep. Looks in the peephole and sees someone with Infect shirt. Must be friendly. Woo! Come on into the peep. Come in. You check the peephole. Come on in. We're super friendly. I think that about this sort of being ethical or moral, Crit Witch, if you cannot go about your life because majority sort of creates a system that hampers you, so that you cannot live your life, one could sort of think of that as an ethical issue, right? I mean, maybe you could say, I am creating a system that disadvantages these people so they cannot live their life, but there's no ethical implications. But I don't know. I think creating a system that hampers people so they cannot live their life does seem to have ethical implications. I mean, it seems to me that it does. That sort of making it so that people's lives are miserable and they cannot survive. That seems to have ethical implications to me. But I'd be interested in hearing an argument that oppressing other people does not have ethical implications, or that it's flawed to think about oppression in terms of ethics. I would love to see that argument, and maybe like I would totally buy it. I mean, but my first instinct is that harming other people does have ethical implications. But please, Tahuds, share with me an argument that is different, and I will read it and I will think about it. Legend of the Three Sisters, Book 3. As with the Stop in the White Rose, the individual tales of the three sisters are often told on their own, seldom as the saga repeated in its entirety. Indeed, one of the few times an attempt to do so was as a play in the Grand Royal Theatre that sharply criticized Divine Justinian's attempts at reform. The play was quickly banned after only 3 performances. The book, titled The Three Brothers, was later published in Minrathous, citing the exploits of 3 Tevinter brothers who find themselves lost in Val Royeaux and spend their time ridiculing Orlesian culture. Despite claims in Tevinter that it is the original, it's quite clear that the Three Sisters legend far predates it. Throughout the legend's various incarnations, the most commonly depicted adventures include: the sisters are convinced to drink dwarven ale by a handsome nobleman with sinister intentions. Their reactions to the ale vary, but usually by the end of this tale, the sisters end up on a wild chase after the nobleman through the streets of the Belmarsh until he jumps into the river and drowns. The sisters ask for help from a group of dwarven merchants who say they will do so only if the sisters solve a clever riddle. The nature of the riddle varies, but the dwarves always cheat the sisters in the end. Typically, the encounter ends with the sisters fleeing before they are sold into slavery, though sometimes the legend has them clubbing the lead dwarf to death with paddles until the other dwarves run off. They are drawn into the annual Saturnalia parade, usually in the climax of the story, until the Imperial army descends upon the revelers and starts a chaotic chain reaction that results in the sisters either stowing aboard a pirate ship or wading through the elven aliens' sewers. It seems to change each age. Once their chaperone Labette catches up with the girls, they usually hang their heads in shame and return to the Montebelliard Manse to resume good and honest lives. Not always, however. The most recent versions of the legend have the sisters remaining in Val Royeaux to fight criminals while wearing black masks, though I honestly cannot tell where this comes from. From Tales of Val Royeaux by Lord Werner Jacquin. I should have given a bad French accent for that one. Chantry Banner. Let's see. I do not expect my lack of vision to be accommodated in all circumstances, but it costs little in the scheme of things to account for it. But as the neurodiversity movement tends to hold each individual as a world unto themselves, it's very hard, if not impossible, to systematically serve their needs. I think that is why I'm saying it shouldn't be couched in a moral sense in a societal scale. It simply leads to helplessness on all parts. Chose to view it as an individual relating to and of course it is a moral question. Choose to view it as an individual relating to a society. No, it's fine. This is the academic foxhole. You can use jargon all you like. That's what we're all about. We're all about exciting jargon all the time. But I think that, I suppose what I would say is that we often, on individual levels, we often accommodate people individually when they're not, like, all the time. Right? I mean, like that, just like, I just think that oftentimes we do make accommodations on individual levels. Right? What I want to know, are you saying that, like, I want more, I would like more information. Are you saying, like, are you saying that we just shouldn't do any accommodations at all because that coddles people and makes them helpless by giving them accommodations? Like, I don't know. I want to understand more what the argument is so I can understand it. Give me more context. I want to understand the argument. Because I think it might be interesting. What do we have here? Oh, blow this horn. Okay, we have just... Hey, it looks like I'm reversed. I feel like I'm backwards. I need to fix that. So that I'm not reversed. What do we have here? Oh, there's a soldier's letter we might be able to get east and west and south a little bit.
Just what we needed.
If we head this way, we can try. Let me see what we can do here. Let's see. Wave with my left hand. Waving with my left hand. No, I'm saying that for problems that cannot be grouped into an overriding disability, just as low vision, we must not attempt to solve such problems from the perspective of society, but rather than as individuals. Yeah, I've got to figure out how to make sure that this is not reversed. I think the only problem with sort of like thinking about everything as just on an individual level is that then one individual might get the accommodation, but then nobody else will, right? You can then have inconsistency in how those things are carried out, and then a whole bunch of people don't get accommodations, and
The undead are gone from our camps.
yeah, I'm totally mirrored. I've got to.
We'll be able to go back then.
See, but the problem is it's really easy to say that then we just make no general accommodations, right? And say, oh, well, everybody's an individual, so we're not going to do anything at all unless somebody shows up, right? And then if somebody shows up, then maybe we will give something to that one person, but we're not going to do anything until someone shows up. And that can make it really tricky. Yeah. In Denmark, the municipality pays for helpers. People with disabilities can have an independent life. I mean, I think that I just worry about what happens.
Where did I leave that hammer?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see what's up about this mirroring and see if we can stop that. South. We want to head south. South? Yeah, I just worry about what happens when you just say, oh, it has nothing to do with society as a whole. Society, we can't think about this as society, we just look at individuals, and how that might mean that society then doesn't actually do anything to help people. And can make it so that individuals don't get the help that they need because, you know, it has nothing to do with society. That seems like to put a lot of burden on individuals over and over and over again to keep having to reinvent wheels. You know what I mean? Right? I think that, like, it's very easy to say, like we're not going to make any accommodations unless you ask for it, and then each time somebody has to ask for it over and over and over again. And like, I just feel like that can be, I think that could be a problem. I think that can be a problem, like just not doing anything, because then each individual person has to keep advocating over and over and over again, and like all the time. Oh, we've got some bad guys coming. We're gonna deal with those bad guys that are just showing up, and we're going to kill them. Just side note, because I feel like that is a good thing to do, just to murder undead. Just, you know, just a little bit of undead murdering. I mean, I do think that we should look at people's individual situations, but I think that sort of focusing on individual as a way to avoid societal responsibility ends up resulting in a lot of people not getting the help they need. It'd be like, it's like saying that we don't need cutouts on sidewalks. Like, we don't need cutouts on sidewalks, we'll just have curbs, and if there's an individual person who has mobility issues, we'll just deal with that one individual person at that time. And they have to each time sort of carry around a ramp with them, as opposed to just like making cutouts on the sidewalk, so that people, like, you know, people can go up and down the sidewalk. I'm not arguing this as a practical solution, simply as the most sensible one, working off of the principle of charity. Bounding societal behavior is useful and necessary to prevent abuse of one's actualization, but the nature of accommodation is the same as an imposition, and I don't think asking for it is unreasonable as guest to host. But I don't always know if it is an imposition. It depends on what I think it depends on I think that depends on our moral values in certain ways and ethics. If we think that being helpful and kind to other people is an imposition, if we think that, like, I mean, if we think that having other people be included is an imposition, just generally speaking, then maybe. But I was just having this conversation with I had a person in the I've just had to deal with this recently, class-wise, because I have a student in one of my classes who needs... Right, and who's the host, right? Okay, south. South. Due south. There should be a thing for us maybe due south. So I had a student, like I have students who... So anyway, I was talking to this person who's part of our accessibility office, sort of about a student who's coming to my class this year, who needs some accommodations. And so I think that maybe our map is a little bit off about where some of these things are. Anyway, and there's this concept, right, that accommodations actually may be made for one group of people, but they actually end up often helping lots of people. Like the cutouts on curbs being an example. So those cutouts on curbs, they cost money to make them, although I suppose if we just start building them from the first place, then it's fine. And they're to help people who have mobility, like people who are in wheelchairs, let's say, for example. But you know what? Once you get them, it turns out they help a lot of people, people who don't have a disability, like people who are having to carry things. Like, so, you know, if an accommodation costs nothing, it is still an imposition of time to consider if the accommodation has a cost and time is utterly irretrievable? Did you mean irrelevant? It seems to us, it seems as if you're arguing that we shouldn't give accommodations to people, generally speaking, because it's an imposition, right? That it's imposition on society to do accommodations, so we shouldn't give people accommodations unless they specifically ask for it. That seems to be what you're arguing. Is that correct? That, like, you don't give anyone impositions unless they specifically ask for it, and only then you accommodate them? Is that it? Right, okay, so am I correct in understanding your position that we should not give accommodations to anyone unless they specifically advocate for themselves? In which case, then we can give them that one individual accommodation, but then don't do anything to systematize that in any way. Is that what you're arguing? Also, why can't I find that letter? We are going to, right now, we're going to go to the world map, and we're going to open up that space. Skyhold. Because I want to do the thing. So, if your accommodation is that we should build our society around the majority only, and only help people who are not the majority if they specifically are able to ask for it, and only help that one individual person, I don't think I could go with that. I don't think I could go with that. I would feel uncomfortable with that. Because the idea that basically we basically if you don't ask for it, screw you. If you're afraid to ask, if you feel like it's stigmatization, if that we should not be helping other people unless they specifically sort of demand help. Otherwise, we just sort of like laugh at them. Like, I just don't, like, I don't know about that. Like, I just don't feel comfortable with that. You know, like,
Inquisitor?
I think that people should feel empowered to ask for things that they need, but not everybody does. And if doing something can help people more generally, I think that it's good to do that. That's like, for example, let's see. I think we've got some stuff that we can do here. We will gather some herbs. Got some spindleweed. Got some more blood lotus, which might allow us to have our jar full of bees now, actually. And we have these new things we can do, which we should do it. Let's gain access to this grove. Chief Engineer Bernadine's report to Commander Cullen. Initial inspection. Elven ruins. Ancient. Largely structurally unsound. Mortar damp and crumbling. Recent damage to load-bearing walls. Claw marks. Task? Clear loose rubble and reinforce collapsed passageway for safety. Requirements? 10 strong workers, 2 junior engineers, 2 guards for security, 3 wagon loads of squared oak beam, 170 kegs of brown ale. Why do you need that much ale? We will clear that area. And gain access to Gilanane's Grove. The passageway is clear and safe. Access to the grove restored. 170 kegs of ale, not nearly enough for 15 hard-working Inquisition men and women. Chief Engineer Bernadine. Chief Engineer Bernadine loves her some ale. Shall we venture forth right now? Sure. We'll venture forth right now. That is fine. We have more things we need to do, clearly. But we will hit it. Let's see. I got on this late. There are many costs. Time costs, monetary costs, inconvenience costs. If I'm barely following the conversation correctly, probably not because I misunderstood once, then the costs can be tied to different individuals depending on which perspective you take. I mean, one could also say that there's like a societal cost for not caring about people, right? There's like a I think there's a cost to our humanity for not caring about other people. And maybe other people don't care about other people. And don't think there's don't care about that. But I do. Let's and also, like, does everything work within, like, a cost? Is everything about cost? Like, is that how we should be thinking about the world? Is that everything? Is everything just cost? And think we could stop somebody from being, like, yeah. Well, but apparently you don't have to care about people. That's the thing. Some people would say it costs too much to care about people, so I don't care about them. If you're going to get really utilitarian about it all, you could say you don't have to care about people. I think there's a case for both being implemented in a way. There are certain permanent things that can be easily done to accommodate people, yep, i.e. ramps. But when dealing with issues that are not permanent and need to be enforced, i.e. triggers, the cost may be too high for an individual not even there. Right. Sort of taking two things. I always like sort of taking two things. Would a lot of the kids I work with not get any help at all? My boss had a kid that was 3 generations of special needs school students. No, you have to care. You're not okay with people not caring. But you're not the boss of them, PH, sadly. I wish you were. Got our camp, by the way. And so, I suppose you can't make them care. You can say that they have to, but you can't actually make them. And I think that is, right, one of the things. Like, and there are a lot of people who just don't care. They just don't. Like, they don't care at all. And you have to work hard to try to make them care, but sometimes you cannot be successful. I mean, I still try, do you know? Like, I still try to get people to care about things, but yeah. And it's easy to say that when you live in certain areas and you have blinders on. When you have to rely on community to survive, not so much. If one were to take blinders off, most need someone else to help in some aspect of living. I will try to make them care by willing it really hard. You know the secret? That's what I'm going to use it for. So, for instance, the beginner's guide is somewhat triggering to me, but I feel the cost it would have made to the stream would have been too great. Yeah, I'm going to ponder this. Let me think about this. I think... What are we doing right now? I think there are a lot of things to think about here in this moment. What's going on? Oh. And I think it's also tricky because some people want to know, like, some people, like, how do we think about triggers is I think actually a very tricky thing, because people use the phrase trigger for different reasons. Some people want to know if there's a trigger, not so that they can avoid it, but so that they can
haunting this archway might collapse on me at any moment, Wade.
Be prepared, so that they can then go into it knowing it's there and then handle it, right? So some people want triggers not so they don't interact with the thing, but so that they can interact with preparation so that it won't be harmful to them. Some people want to know if they're triggers so that they cannot participate. I think it's yeah, I think that, like, the idea of triggers is tricky because there are a lot of different ways in which people have conceived of what the function of a trigger warning is, and what to do about it. Right? And so, yeah, I think it's really tricky. And I want to read what you're saying. Hold on a second. For instance, alright, accommodating for me would have meant, would have had one less, it would just be you not watching, right? That's an exclusion. I think some things have to do with whether or not something is mandatory, right? So, for example, so I think there are issues about whether or not things are mandatory, that a person must have them, right? So, for example, I know many Mormons who, for religious practices, do not watch any film that is rated higher than a PG. And if a Mormon who has this religious belief where they cannot watch films that are over PG wants to be a film studies major, there should be accommodations made for that student to be able to do that. Now, that might mean that there are classes that they don't take. That might mean that for those classes that are sort of like elective classes, if a class is required, there should be some sort of means for them to be able to participate in that moment, right? Maybe there's a way to sort of create some kind of specialized major for them. But, right, if they're paying to go to school, they should be able to participate in that process. And now,
Supplies, monsieur.
but I think it becomes really tricky,
Anyone
right?
need a hand?
I think it's tricky because I think that not everybody needs to be everywhere. The dead hand. The great stone hand was something of a mystery. One assumes it is a piece broken off from a larger whole. If so, judging by the size of that one hand, I imagine the entire sculpture to be, well, large enough to require the use of obscenities to describe it. Thus, I have only one question. Where is the rest of the statue? It is difficult to imagine how something so large could go missing. From A Journey Through the Dales by Lord Horace Medford, Adventurer. There's the hand. Right, we're making an accommodation on a societal level or an individual level with your Mormon scenario. side note, by the way, there's a statue that's in Washington, D.C. called the Awakening, and it involves a hand like this and also Poseidon coming up out of the ground, and if you haven't seen it, you should see it, and then you should ponder it, because I think it's a really amazingly cool statue, and you should see it.
Need anything?
So, let me see what I can say about this. I think it's tricky. So there are some people who don't want to participate in certain conversations, because it's triggering for them. It's against their religion, whatever it is. And I feel like as long as they can exist in society without having those conversations, I feel like that's fine, right? You should be able to not have the conversations that you don't feel comfortable having, if they are triggering to you in various ways. But I don't think it then follows that no one should be able to have those conversations. But I'm also willing not to have those conversations around people for whom those conversations would be triggering. Does that make sense? If I just personally choose I do not want to watch any more movie rated higher than PG, not for religious reasons, but just because I choose it, do I get accommodations? Is it against their religion or against their personal religion? Oh, accommodations for all things at all times is impossible due to conflicting. A triggered person from domestic abuse versus PTSD individual going through desensitization training. Therefore, we must accommodate societally for groups who can be grouped as needing a common accommodation. If an individual needs an accommodation, the onus is on them to make the need for accommodation known to those expected to provide it, individual to individual. I've got mixed feelings about that, right? Because you're putting the onus on the individual to advocate for themselves, but sometimes doing so is dangerous to them or unsafe. And if we can do an accommodation, or demand the accommodation is a way to actually not give them any accommodations at all, right? So like this is the thing that society as a collective of individuals, again operating off the principle of charity, must accommodate for mutually assured maximal self-actualization. Thus the individual is accommodated, but if your accommodation falls outside of the bounds of what can be expected, say take 4 standard deviations from the population size to the pool of those who need it, the onus is upon those who have needs to make them known, not for society to provide for every possible contingency simultaneously. I see what you're saying, but my concern is that thinking can lead to not giving people accommodations at all. Like, that's my concern. My concern is that you're like, well, unless you say it, we're not going to give it to you. And also, we're just going to, like, on default, just not give you things unless you say it. And then we're gonna be really unfriendly and make it really difficult for you to ask for accommodations and make it such a pain in the ass that you're not going to ask and then we don't have to do anything. Right? Like, that is my concern. My concern is that putting the onus always on, right, and then what if you don't understand you need an accommodation, then society isn't perfect and it's not society's job to figure out shit for you. That's a really cold view of society. I don't know, I think society, I think of society's job as being about looking out for each other. So I do think, like, for me, right, I think that, because I'll tell you what, if I didn't think that society's job was about, that's part of your part in society is to care about other people, then I don't think I wouldn't be a teacher. I'd be like, why even have, like, I just go super libertarian and say we don't need schools, we don't need hospitals, like, you just work it out on your own, you know, and like, I just don't, right, like, because the thing is, I get the idea that, like, if you're within an acceptable standard deviation, we'll make accommodations for you, without you asking. But if your accommodation is like without a standard deviation, it's too far out of our norm, then it's up to you. But that can be used to, like, the problem is what is outside of the norm. We can just decide that our norm is super, super narrow, and we can make it really difficult for anybody outside of a really narrow norm. Like, it's just that those terms can be used to harm people. You know what I mean? Like, I can say, well, sure, if you are in standard deviation, then we will help you. But we get to decide what that is. Like, why 4? Like, why not 1 or 2 or none? Like, I mean, this is where it becomes, right, subjective, and then it can be used to sort of to harm people. It is. We'll deal with that in a moment. We will give them power. O Falondin, Lethanavir, friend to the dead, guide to my feet, calm my soul, lead me to my rest. In ancient times, the people were ageless and eternal, and instead of dying, would enter Uthanera, the long sleep, and walk the shifting paths beyond the veil with Falondin and his brother. Dirt, ha, men! Those elders would learn the secrets of dreams, and some returned to the people with newfound knowledge. But we quickened and became mortal. Those of the people who passed walked with Falondin into the beyond and never returned. If they took counsel with Dirt, ha, men! On their passage, his wisdom was lost, for it went with them into the beyond and never came to the people. Then Finharel caused the gods to be shut away from us, and those who passed no longer had Falondin to guide them, and so we learned to lay our loved ones to rest with an oaken staff, to keep them from faltering along the paths, and a cedar branch to scatter the ravens named Fear and Deceit, who were once servants of Dirt, ha, men! Now without a master. As told by Gizharel, keeper of the Relafaran clan of the Dalish Elves. Close. Come over here. You know, I wasn't even paying attention to where I was moving. Let's go there. What do we have? The principle of charity in this sense works of the understanding of individuals acting towards a maximal good, personally and globally. Hey, Artie Snack, how are you? Also, if we only work on an individual level, we can't do great works, right? Because we have to work together as a collective to get some, like, we can't build a dam by, an individual cannot build a dam by themselves. Specific example, an individual may not be able to advocate for themselves, however, it does not mean it cannot be advocated for. Schools, at least the college I went to, had a mental health program that could advocate for you. It is still an individual accommodation, but a program to help advocate individual accommodation. That's exactly correct. That is correct, Jer. But the point is, we do have group advocacy, right? So that there is, right, a way in which somebody can be accommodated. And it's tricky, because I do think that there are moments where, sort of thinking about sort of triggers, there are some things that are going to, like, so for example, I teach this class, History of African American Music, and it is about race, and if talking about race triggers you, this is not a class you should be in. There is no way to do this class without talking about race, because that's what the entire class is about. Luckily, that class is not required for anything. Nobody has to take the class ever. You can be a music major and never take the class. You could be any kind of major and never take the class. You never have to take my classes. And so you are not hampered in your ability to successfully navigate any kind of major by the fact that my class exists. So what you get then is the ability for people to never have to take that class, never be bothered by it. There's no downside. There's no negative consequence for never taking my class. And then you never have to deal with race if you don't want to have to deal with race. So that seems like, but people who do want to talk about race and so want to learn those things can still do that, right? They still can take the class and be able to do that, while people who don't want to do that never have to do that, and they're not punished for not doing it in any way. Oh, what is this? I just stood on a thing, and it did a thing. What do you think that means? Okay, I will level my peeps. I teach other classes. I mean, I teach other classes, right? I mean, now, but also, if I'm probably not a good teacher for people who don't want to talk about race, basically, right? For them, I'm probably a terrible teacher because they don't want to talk about race. And so therefore, they're not missing out on anything at all. Like, I'm not that special. I am not that special at all. If you don't want to talk about gender, you should probably not take my gender class. Because it's not going to be useful for you. Like, it won't, like, you won't like it. It will not help you. Dylan! Hi! How are you? Welcome into the Academic Foxhole. I'm Trooper SJP. All the people hanging out here, they're actually not in my room, they're in the internet, are the Battle Buddies, and we hang out and we play video games and talk deep philosophy is what we do. Welcome in. I've got a Discord if you want to hang out. You can give a follow if you like. We are running around right now in the Exalted Plains, trying to figure out what the puzzle of this particular, mosaic tile. Oh, you're good. Good. You're inside the internet. Not in. Wait. So hold on. Let's level up our people because PH is being distracted by their lack of leveling up. Dorian, how are you? You are being all necromantic. Let's just level up your horror. Horror inflicts deeper, reduces their armor while in the effects. What does this do? Enemies struck by horror cower and do not react until attacks until they take significant damage. Oh, let's do 50% damage, weapon damage per second, armor reduction 20%, health threshold 25%. Oh, let's do this one, I suppose, because that could be interesting. We'll apply that. I don't actually have a physical form. Who knew? In the chat room. Oh, good. Right now we're leveling up. This is Cassandra. She is our, what do you call it? She's got our Templar going on. Spell Shatter. I don't even think I use Spell Purge at all, to be honest. I don't even know about any of this business. Well, let's back up for a moment. Vanguard, which is getting threat. I don't even know. Sword and Shield, which actually I think we've maxed that out completely. So let's go, what is this? Battle Master. Let's go to Vanguard and see if there's anything useful. We'll give her, it'll cost you. That seems like a nice, great thing to spend points on. And then we just need, Iron Bull. Iron Bull is a Reaver. Let's just, oh, he's pretty much all leveled up. What is this? Weapon and Shield, two-handed weapon, which is mostly leveled up. We'll give him this. What is this? Lightning Jab. Pommel Strike stuns enemies. Let's stun people. Stunning is always good. Let's take that. Okay. They are leveled up, my friends, and then we will save. Dylan, where do you live? Don't give us your address, but, like, what country are you living in? Or what state are you living in? What do you do? Tell us about yourself. Say hi. Basically, if you work off the idea people need to be provided for with defenses against assholes, I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah? But there are costs for accommodation. Yeah? I'm a cost as both a beneficiary of them and as a provider for special ed students. That cost is real, so anticipating every need is impossible and unrealistic. So we do what we can because it's beneficial for us personally and society to help everyone reach their maximum potential. Yeah, I'm with all of that. So, like, where do the accommodations end? Do we need a third bathroom option for that municipal population that wants it? That said, for the more edge cases, there might need to be a bright line. Paladin, see, that's the right answer right there for Paladin Hunk. Gives the right answer. We just need one bathroom, right? We don't need 3 bathrooms. We just need 1 bathroom. Oh, you're in the USA. Nice. You're not from the... Because we have people from the Netherlands here. I'm just saying. Also, my dogs are ready for the vet, so I think I need to go get them. Oh, I don't think you're an asshole to HUDs. That's why I asked you to talk about your position. I think it's really interesting, and I want to know where you're from, where you're coming from about it. I don't think you're an asshole at all. And it's really tricky. Like, it's a really tricky situation. I think it's a really tricky situation. Yay, hi from the Netherlands! Now everybody wants to be the asshole here. I feel like, what is this? Oh, let's light this. See, I feel like there's some special kind of, what's the word? Trick to this particular room, and I don't think we have it yet. And I think we have to figure it out, what it is. Because we've got this, like, cool thing right here, and I don't yet know. Alright, see, we've got these levers here? I don't know, let's pull this. So something just happened. So what we're going to do is go around the room once with this configuration of gates. I don't even know. Like, there's a thing here. What do we have? I don't want to be the asshole. I just am. I'm the rich-born cis-male white man here. I have the most... Oh, but Krellin, you have other things going on as well. And also, you can be a... Also, Krellin, you're not rich. Rich-born, but not rich now. But you can be a rich-born cis-male white man and not be an asshole. A lot of rich-born cis-het white males are not assholes. Right? Like, there are a lot of... And there are people who are assholes who are not rich-born cis-het white men. Like, assholeness is, not related to that. I mean, it could be. Oh, okay, look at that! Aha! That thing just lowered. And that thing just rose. Did you see that? Oh, and now it's going back up. Okay, we just learned something, everybody. There's a thing going on with these... Okay. Okay. Something is going on there. Let's pull this. See if it does anything. Oh! Oh! Okay. We just learned a thing. Interesting. Wife is getting the puppies. I don't know. I'm a southern cis male. My brother's a lawyer. My mother's a minister. Even more Well... Oh, do you think? Okay, so we just did a thing. Alright. Oh, maybe? Okay, but people move. What happens if we go here? What happens now? Oh! Okay, so those towers are going to block people from shooting at things. Alright, what happens if I do this? Then it moves. Okay. Okay, hold on. I'm getting something here. We want to try to light up all of those spaces, but the tower things are in the way. What do you think that did? I don't know what it did. I didn't see it. It didn't do anything that I could see. Okay, but maybe this will lower different ones. Yes. Right, and also, your relatives are not you. Alright, so what is just dropped right now? That one is dropped. I feel like other ones might drop, so I think we need to do this. Get this to drop down. Oops, I wonder if... The problem is that when you switch people, other people often run with you, you know? Let's pull. See what happens. Dang it! Alright. Well now, I think I can still... And if I pull here... Okay, so... I feel like I now know what this one does, but what about the other one? Yes, right. So, now this at the moment is going to lower that one. But only that one. So I think right now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this archer almost all the way around. Yeah. here's what we're gonna do. It's gonna be great. We're gonna turn the archer. Not gonna work. Now, pull it again. And then run over here. Go, 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 go! And? Did it go? We missed it, didn't we? If only I could get somebody to stay here. I wonder if I can do that. Well, maybe I can. Hold on. Here. I think if I switch over to you, I can not attack, disengage. No. I don't think I can do that. Alright, we've got one of these things working. Close. I don't believe I benefit from some nebulous white privilege, so obvious I'm an asshole. Timing now. I guess that I'm just down in the trenches as a teacher, and I see a limited amount of time, energy, and resources, so every day I work off not what I want, but what can be provided, and work off the ideas we cannot and will not live in a social structure beyond scarcity resources. Or, as the archer shows time, the arrow of time goes in one direction. I've seen examples of white privilege, a number of which I cannot identify with. I'm not ignorant. I know what people mean by it. I just don't think it applies as universally as people assume. Hold position was one of the commands. I didn't see hold position. I didn't see it as a command. At a discussion of a friend who identified himself as a social justice warrior once, I argue that you can't push society's direction too quickly because there's backlash, and that it happens over time anyway. He argued that society has to be pushed harder, and that rural areas have to catch up even if they aren't ready to advance. I think there are a lot of discussions here. I think that white privilege and male privilege are 100% definitely things that exist, but when you think about things intersectionally, there are also overlapping circles of privilege and oppression. So a person may have white privilege, but then have class oppression, which is a thing that often happens. See, this is not hold, this is attack my target, this is disengage, call mount. Oh, this is hold position. Ah ha 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 ha! Right. Hold position. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let us do this. I think we should be able to do it now. Excellent. Yes. Yes. Oh, get ready for Shadowrun. Yes, thank you. Thank you all. Right, but having oppression on one hand does not negate privilege on the other. And I think that it's important to sort of, okay. So now we've got to figure out how to lower these two columns. There might be another standy thing somewhere. And the question is, where is the other standy thing? Oh, let's light this. Because I feel like it must be somewhere. That's right. Krellin message deleted. Such an easy request to oblige. Barantor, I feel that pushing like that can also cause problems and just the opposite of the intended goal. Having said that, where's the line? How much is too much, right? So I think that it's also interesting that one has to note that rural spaces are not necessarily more conservative than other spaces. I think that sometimes people forget that. I mean, there are a lot of rural spaces that are actually quite progressive. And there are some rural spaces that are not, but there are some that are, and I think that that is a thing that sometimes people forget. They assume that rural spaces are automatically always already conservative, but there are a number of rural spaces where you had wobblies and lots of really...
It's a pretty enough area, but still dangerous.
Alright. I'm lighting everything. But, you know, so I just think that there's a way in which sometimes stereotyping of rural spaces happens when not all rural spaces are super conservative and not everybody in rural spaces is super conservative. So that didn't change that. Also, my friend left that area. So let's try... So lighting up all the stuff... Oh, hey, you know what? Maybe lighting stuff determines which thing will go down. Let's try that. Let's see. I did say Wobblies. Hey, it's Energy, how are you doing? There are a lot of world spaces that will side with black natives or white outsiders because fuck strangers. Yeah, totally. Alright, I just turned up one of these. Let's see. Alright, so this... Still the same one. Still the same one. Alright. So... And then if we light this one... What happens... Oh, wait. Did you see that? I feel like something different just happened. If we step on this thing now, will it be a different one? No, it was not a different one. Okay, there is a mystery here, my friends. There is a mystery. And I feel like... Let's pull this one more time. If I whisper you a journal article, can you get it for me? Oh, of course I can. Well, to HUDs, as long as I have access to it, as long as I have access to the journal article, I will get it for you and whisper me, and I will send it to you without a doubt. No question. No question. All right. Does this change anything? Same one. Do we get access to different spaces at all? Because we've flipped this switch. So yeah, to HUD, send me the link, and if I have access to it, I will get it to you, like right away. No trouble whatsoever. Doesn't it suck to not have access to the... Yeah, no, that makes me sad. Gang, what is the key here? What are we missing? We are currently wandering around. I don't think out here is going to help us. I think it's in here. And, well, so like there's only one thing here. And alright, so we know that we have this particular thing, and I don't know what it does. Let's see. Eats candy dinner because they are Dave. This bunny doesn't need nutritious. Candy dinner. So what do you think this does? Oh, look! Okay. That lowers... Okay, so it's in here. So we need to light this. But I don't know if we can light them all. So that's clearly a thing. Let's go over here and see what this does. Same thing. Folks, there's a thing about the lights. This is what we've got. We've got a thing about the lights. And oh, you know what? So these lights go out slowly. Alright, let's go. We're gonna run. See if we can go. I wish I could run faster. Light. Alright. Run. Maybe I should be a bit more space effective when I do this. Go. Yeah, okay. Go. What is the key here? Chocolate is like steak, right? I think you have to do them one at a time, or maybe position your dude so one can light the torch, the other can do the other thing. Yeah, let's try. So I don't think... I'm only seeing 3 I'm only seeing 3 torches. Alright, so here's my question. Let's ponder this for a moment. Pulling this here gives us access to this particular light source. And, oh, you know what's interesting? I have an idea. Let's send, what happens if I put him in here and then have him hold? And then I come back to me and I pull this lever. What happens? What if I trap one of my friends in there? Okay, if you do that, all the lights go off. That's interesting. Okay. But it doesn't look like we have access to anything else. We're experimenting with all of our options. I don't know, but let's see what happens. This is gonna go out. Alright, we're gonna try it with everything out, and then I'm going to hold myself here, and then I'm gonna go to you, and I'm going to have you go here, and you're going to light it, and then you are going to light it, and then I am going to light it. So everything is lit all at once, and then, quick, do you know the thing? I don't think it does anything. There's a puzzle here. Puzzle. What are y'all saying? I think you have to do them one at a time, or maybe position your dude so one can light the torch. Hitting the lights lowered one. You just need to make this archer shoot. Yeah, the lights are lowered one column, so the archer could shoot the glow behind it. Need more light so they can see what's going on. Chocolate comes from beans. Just make the archer shoot. So I've done that, but the thing is these poles get in the way. So let's see. Alright, so for example, right, if I, where's my thing? If I place him here, right, so he's on this right now, and I have him hold, and I go back to, not you. Oh, look, no, wait, look at this. There's another one in here. What did that one do? We just found another pole, people. We just found another one. That is interesting. And loot. So we just found another thing. And maybe this will make the difference? So, Dorian, go stand over there for a little bit. And hold. And then I'm just gonna go and have this shoot, but I don't... No, look, it hits the post. You do this one. That one we've already done. We do this one, it hits the post. We do this one, it's already done. So we've done all the ones that are currently there. Hitting the lights lowers a pillar. Well, you blind! Ignored that the tile thing. You just hit all the lights. Make the archer shoot the orb behind the pillar. The lights have lowered. Okay, so alright, you want me to hit all the lights? Alright. We'll do it. But there was a brand new thing. I don't know what it did. So there's light 1. There is light 2. And I will hit light 3. I hit light 3. Alright, and now, where's our, there we are. Nope. And it's back up again. Okay. So, let's hit everybody all around again. Alright. Dorian, I want you to run over here and hold. We need... You need to get out of here. I really want to know what this pull does. What I want to know, what does it do? Y'all are trapped in here. You can stay there. And then... Let's... Where are we? We've got everybody standing where they need to stand, except for one person. So I'm going to trip this one here, so I can get people out. I'm going to get, not you, but you. I will get you to run over here and hold. Alright, we're going to get everybody set up. And hold, and then I am going to head over here. Okay, so let's hope this does it, but I still wonder about that last pull. Are we ready? Okay, and light, 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 where am I? Where am I? Why am I not where I want to be? Here we go. Pull. Get it? Okay, we got that one. Now we just need to figure out that last one. Because hitting all 4 of those lights doesn't actually lower that one there. Right? Okay, so we got 1 down. We are good with 3 of the 4. Okay. Right? So we've got 3 of the 4. Now the question is, what about the last one? You're in here. What does... Oh, okay. Interesting. There is one more... We're going to use you. We're going to go back over here. And we're going to pull this lever. Which is going to trap... Why are you following me? That is not what I wanted. People need to stop following me. Alright, we're gonna... So, there's a trick in here about this last lever. What are you saying? Maybe that new lever lowers the other pillar. So we're gonna see... We're gonna have her hold here. Then we are going to... pull... You know what? I don't want you all in here. This is not what I want. I want hold, and I want you to. Oh, I probably messed that one up. Sorry. Let's have you hold. You're there. That's fine. You need to come out here. All right. We're gonna pull this lever, which closes you in. We're going to go back to her, send her here. What happens when we pull this lever? What happens? I don't know what happens. So we just pulled it. What do you think happened? I know. I'm trying to figure it out. Well, so we've put everybody... She pulled the lever, right? And what do you think it does? We will try hitting... It must have opened more gates. It doesn't open any of these gates, though. It was none of those. Dylan, there are puzzles in your RPGs, and what are you going to do about it? So that didn't open up any of those. And, I mean, Dylan, we could just go shoot things, but we've got one more, we've got this puzzle. And we've got... Alright, we've got her in here. Well, let's try hitting all the lights again and seeing if that will, if with that one lever pulled it will do something different. So she's by one light. We'll put him by the other. Where did it go? We'll put him here. To the internet. And then this is me, and then I'll head to our thing right here. Well, first I will just stand here and see what happens. Same thing, no big deal. Alright. I will hold, and we're gonna hit all the lights. Light. 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 And what has lowered? Nothing that we want to lower has lowered. So it is not... Depends. So... Folks, what are you thinking? How are we getting through this one bit of a puzzle? Pulling that's not doing anything. Right? I mean, that's just that. What happens if we pull this one now? That will open up this. Close off that. This is a question. Y'all have access to the internet, and I don't. Let me know what I'm missing. I feel like there's something really maybe obvious. I think, personally, I think that the answer to this question would have to be in this area here. I feel like this is the lever right there. I feel like there's a lever right there behind that that pillar. The question is, how do we get into... Right, because look, there's a lever right there. Right, that's a lever. And the question is, how do we get in there? When it doesn't... It looks like one of these levers should open up one of the other levers, but it doesn't seem like it's doing it. That seems to be the mystery. The secret... I know, right? The secret level has to open it. I have got her... She's there. What I'm going to have her do is... Here's me. Let's... Where are we? Here we are. Let's pull this lever again, which will open up that other lever. Let's see. We'll send her in there. Oop. We have... I'm not sure if you've checked after you flip the other levers. See, the thing is... Alright, so we will do this very systematically, right? So, right now, this lever is up. And we cannot get into any of the gates on this side. Right? So, no, with that one up, you can't get into any gates on that side. Also, with that one up, and then there's a crank? Let's see. We currently cannot get into any of these spaces. Right? Okay. So that is what's happening with this one up. We pull this lever down. this gate comes down, we will send her here, and we'll hold. With the... Oops, sorry. Hold. You're held. This is me. Alright, you're not good. Okay, so, with that lever down, we now have access to this light, which we used. We don't, however, have access to, it looks like, anything else. Right, because all of that is still up. We're just going to be really, really methodical about it, and hopefully we'll get it. Okay. Right, so everything is the way it was, except we have that one gate open. He says he'd cheat. I'm on a PS4, I don't think I can cheat. Maybe the lights open, so, or that statue lever, the statue, okay, so we just did, so that was our first look around, right? And we've opened all the lights in this situation before, and that just closed down one of the pillars. So, what I'm going to do now is pull this up, which will trap Cassandra. Oops. There we go. So that traps Cassandra in here, but this then gives her access to this, everybody's follow me, this particular lever. Right? Okay, so here's this new lever that we have that is currently up. I'm going to pull it down. So something has altered, but I don't yet know what. Alright, so we're going to have you hold here by this lever, and we're going to hang out with our other peoples. And we're going to see if there's anything shifted over on the other side. Wait. It looks like it. It looks like it, my friends. We just got in. Here is a turn. We just got a new thing. Okay, folks. We got it. We did it. We got it. We got it. We got it. We had to trap our friend, but we got it. And now... Oh, okay. We do not have a lot of time for this one. That's okay, we got it, we got it, we got it. This is us. This is us. Bull, I want you to hold right there while I go into... while I turn the crank. Here we are, folks. We've got it. We've got it. Okay, this is good. Turn the puzzle. Go to Iron Bull, pull it. And we got it. And so now all four of them have been... Oh. We need to get all of our friends back, though. We probably should follow those dancing lights. But before we do, we need to get our friends back, because they are trapped. Yes, you are trapped. Let's, get you out so that you're less trapped. Hello, friend. We need you out. Okay. Hang out with us. Excellent. Okay, so I think we need to follow those lights. And you should come with us as well. I think everybody's on the same sheet. We will follow these lights. Oh gosh. Everything is lit up. Okay. We get a superb amulet of cunning. We can examine this. What do we have? Dirt Ha Men, keeper of secrets. The twins, Falon Din and Dirt Ha Men, are the eldest children of the Elgarnan, the Allfather, and Mithal, the Protector. The brothers were inseparable from the moment of their conception, known for their great love for each other. That is why we often speak of Falon Din in one breath and Dirt Ha Men the next, for they cannot bear to be apart, not even in our tales. When the world was young, the gods often walked the earth, and Falon Din and Dirt Ha Men were no exception. Both are delighted by the many wonders of our earth. They played with the animals, whispered to the trees, and bathed in the lakes and streams. Their days were filled with bliss, and they did not know sorrow. And then one day, while passing through the forest, Falon Din and Dirt Ha Men came across an old and sickly deer resting beneath a tree. "Why do you sit so still, little sister?" asked Falon Din. "Play with us," said Dirt Ha Men. "Alas," spoke the deer, "I cannot. I'm old, and although I wish to go to my rest, my legs can no longer carry me." Taking pity on the deer, Falon Din gathered her up into his arms and carried her to her rest beyond the vale. Dirt Ha Men tried to follow them, but the shifting grey paths beyond the vale would not let him. Separated for the first time from Falon Din, Dirt Ha Men wandered aimlessly till he came across two ravens. "You are lost, and soon you will fade," the raven named Fear said to Dirt Ha Men. "Your brother has abandoned you. He no longer loves you," said the other, named Deceit. "I'm not lost," said Falon Din, "and Falon Din has not abandoned me," replied Dirt Ha Men. He subdued the ravens and bade them carry him to Falon Din. Thus they did, for they had been defeated and were now bound to Dirt Ha Men's service. When Dirt Ha Men found Falon Din, he found also the deer, who once again was light on her feet, for her spirit was released from her weakened body. Both Falon Din and Dirt Ha Men rejoiced to see this. Falon Din vowed that he would remain to carry all the dead to their place beyond, just as he did the deer, and Dirt Ha Men stayed with him, for the twins cannot bear to be apart. From the story of Falon Din and Dirt Ha Men as told by Jizharel, keeper of the Relatheran clan of the Dalish elves. Keeper of secrets? Sweet! What do we get? Puzzles, right? You've got a lot of guts. Let's see what they look like. Oh, sorry. No caps. That's our big deal. Nightbot is our bot that watches out for too many caps and too many what do you call them? Emotes. Like there's a limit. Like I think it's like 40 characters maybe. There's a limit on it, but like as long as you stay under the limit, then you're all good. I think we are basically, hopefully, through this particular... Oh, hi! Bad guys. And bad guys. Bad guys who want to kill me. That's, unfortunate. But we will take care of it, everybody. We will kill these bad guys. They will be dead. And we'll win. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It was a bit of a surprise. It's what you get for looting bodies. But we're okay. We just loot it, take all of the stuff, and, what do we get? A new staff? Hopefully it's good. See, that wasn't bad. That wasn't hard. We're fine. It's okay. What do we have? Is that based on Viking Believes? It'd also do that if you post a link. Thanks for the tip. It was caps, I think. Oh no, 50 emotes are too much. But like, you had the kapow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You had 12 kapows, and that was totally fine. So 12 emotes are clearly fine, but probably 50 are less fine. So I think we just cleared out that whole... I think we cleared out the whole thing. They won't let us see anything. So, gang, I think we did it. I think we finished up that whole area. We got through that puzzle and finished up the whole area. Look at us. Go us. We're awesome. That was great. So, folks, it is 3:30, which is time to sort of start wrapping up the stream. I want to thank everyone for being here. That was pretty amazing. You'll play for this Captain Planet? Now, the course is, can I even get out of here? I totally can. It'll be fine. So I want to say to everyone, right now what we're going to do is we're going to make our way out of here and head back to Stormhaven, because that's where we sort of end our scene. But it was a really good puzzle. I thought it was like, oh, that's a good one. Multiple levels. I liked it. So I want to thank everyone for being here today. I'm Trooper SJP. This is the Academic Foxhole, where we sit and chat about all the stuff, which, of course, we did. We talked about accommodations, and I think it's really tricky. Like, I think that PH has really good points, and I think Tahuds has good points. Everyone has good points, and it's a really tricky thing. How do you deal with inclusion in ways? And I think it's not easy. And I appreciate everybody sort of sharing their thoughts, and I think we did such a great job. I'm very pleased with how that conversation went. So I stream Saturdays, noon Eastern Time, Dragon Age Inquisition, and then Thursdays I stream at 6 o'clock Eastern Time some sort of game that I can play on the Mac, and I usually have a giveaway for the Thursday streams. And I think this Thursday we're gonna try playing Gods Are Watching, which in the past I have been miserable at, but that's also okay, and maybe we'll just be a little bit of miserable together, and I will fail, and we'll see how it goes. But it'll be exciting. I know! Dylan, I am so sad. I'm so sad. But come back with us next Saturday, and we will see where we go. I mean, I think next Saturday we're just going to, I don't know, murder lots of things, probably? Maybe not. I don't know. Sooner or later, we also have to talk to all of our party members and see how they're doing. But those are going to be all of our goals. And I'm going to try to make sure that I'm not flipped next time. I'm sure there's a way to fix it so that I'm not flipped up. So if you haven't given a follow, please give a follow. That would be lovely. Join our Discord. Dylan, join our Discord. We have a Discord. You should join it. We talk about all the stuff on the Discord. It is a good place. Same bat time, same bat channel. No, it's all right. Caught the ending and laughed at the giveaway thing. I know! The giveaway thing was just crazy. So we'll try to make our giveaway right in the middle next time so that it works out, and hopefully it doesn't all just go to me. Good talk. Good stream. Thank you, everybody, for being here. You are also awesome. Dylan, you're awesome. Did somebody post the Discord? Somebody must have done, right? Did somebody do it? Yes. Thank you, PH, for posting the Discord. That is excellent. We have a Discord. I've got a YouTube for the archive of stuff if you want to check out things. None of my VODs are subscriber locked. Nothing is subscriber locked, so just hang out with us. And have a great time, everyone. And I'm going to go. I'm going to go eat breakfast. A little late, but I'm going to eat breakfast. What else did I want to tell you all? Have a great weekend. Thank you all for coming. And Dylan, it is so nice to have you as a new member of the Academic Foxhole. That is excellent. Dylan, I want you to be here when somebody subscribes or resubscribes, because we do a thing when people subscribe that is a fun thing, that is a surprise, and you will see it when it happens. So when it happens, you'll notice it. That's it. So I'm gonna just head up to our war table and put our people in more missions, but that will be it. Oh yes. Also, Dylan, we learn something every week. We learn something. This week we learned about peepholes, and we try to add it to our learned list because at the Foxhole we're all about learning, even if some of those things we learn are questionable in their veracity. They might always be true, but I think this one is a good one, right? Mantis are kind of scary. They murder people. It's a fact. Mantis have murdered people. I feel like that is not even an untrue statement, and I feel like it's true. And mantis, like, have you seen mantas when they're like floating across the water, all like ooh, like that, all scary, and then they murder you? I'm just noting that there are murdering mantas out there in the world, and it's totally true. Oh my goodness, Manta the fish. Oh, the Manta cars. I mean, that would be. There was a TV show in the 80s. Manta. What was it called? It was about a guy that I think had the car. You know. Anyway, everyone, I want to thank you all for being here. I'm gonna let y'all go. I will see you all on Thursday. Take care, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I will see you on the flip side. Thanks, everybody, for being here. It was a great stream. Y'all are the best. Woo! All right. Bye, everyone.